Oh, that's Dashy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of which, hello everyone. It's either real Randy Chavez coming at you with, is it Rihanna or Reena? I should have thought it
Reena,
was
Reena.
Rena. With Reena, and everyone say hello to Dashi. Hello, Dashi. So Reena is a TikTok star, musician, uh, creator of Fartcoin, among many, many other things we plan to go over. We were just going over Taylor Swift and music. So how are you today?
I'm doing all right. Having a pretty uneventful day. Just, you know, emails and all that stuff. Nothing too exciting going on over at Casa de Reena today.
So you have a bunch of stuff going on. Obviously, you have the kind of a celebrity in the Feesh community. Your TikTok has kind of been blowing up. You have a couple with 100,000 views, and then one I think with over 1 million views. And you have a just a growing social presence, but also living with that invisible disease. What do you actually do for work? What is like the day-to-day job?
So I do a lot of different things. I do heavily rely on like, social media, my social media presence. I stream and I do like one of the other things many things I do is astrology readings. I've been studying astrology for like, I don't know, probably close to like 15 years now. So that's what I do on my streams. But I also, my primary source of income, especially since like becoming sick, has been making music for short form media, commercials, TV shows, things like that. When I do like scoring as a producer. So like the background music that you hear in, whatever short form media, like that's what I do. That's what I make for money.
So it would be like a that little jingle for like State Farm repairs. That that like that would be something that you would do.
Yeah, kind of like that. I mean, I did like the last like big thing I did was, hey. um the last big, I don't know if everyone else can see that, but
Oh yes, yeah. If I put, I mean, everyone could mostly follow along in the comments anyway.
okay.
But yeah, I'll throw everything up. If we can see it, they can all see it.
Okay, cool. But yeah, the last big thing I did was a Nike commercial. So it's just background music basically.
So is most of your work coming in from classic like advertising, like television, or is some of it from like TikTok? Is some of it from like social media? What's like the percentages?
It's like all over the place. I haven't had something on TV, like a commercial on TV since like I think the last one was like 2014, I think.
Okay.
But like I don't know, I have songs in like some movies. My biggest claim to fame is I have a song in like Magic Mike's XXL.
Oh,
um and I don't know, like some other, like I had something in what was it, Inventing Anna, that Netflix show. So it's all
yeah.
over the place. It's just like whatever comes to me. I network in the industry, and I have some agents that I work with, and they just give me work.
So the classic stuff like TV that you say I haven't done in almost a decade, is that because a lot of big companies are transitioning to other forms of media, or is it because you can kind of see which way the wind is blowing and you're just like, I'm gonna go this way?
Well, it's not really like my choice.
Mhm.
It's just kind of like whatever work comes to me. But I will say that I mean, there's the money is in TV. However, in terms of like, the client and the company, whatever it is, who's like advertising, if I see an ad for, I don't know, hair gel on my phone, I could just click on it and then I can instantly buy it. So like that's obviously like a better thing for them. And also they're paying less money to the artist, the person who's making the music, because it's not like on syndicated TV. And so they
Yeah.
don't have to deal with like a bunch of different types of royalties. It just makes it easier. Anyway, like I said, it's not really my choice, like what kind of work I do. I do whatever comes to me.
Cool. And who brings that stuff to you?
I have a couple different agents. I work with a couple different directors. It's really just from like, I lived in New York for like just under a decade, 7 or 8 years. And so, I network with people, and I made some connections, and they give me work. And
Nice.
luckily I can do it from home.
Cool. Yeah, I've been now. I grew up in New York, and then I've now been in New York again consistently since 2017. So I'll probably be here for the next couple of years, and then cannot wait to go to Florida and be in the warm because it sucks here in the winter. But I hate
Yeah,
it.
you're in New York City.
Long Island.
Okay, yeah. I know the New York winters are like. I mean, I'm not going to dox my location, but I'm not too far from New York,
Cool.
and it's New York winters. I don't miss it.
Yeah, it's rough. It was fine when I was, or not like the. I'm about an hour and a half away from the city now, or I guess almost 2 hours. I have like a half hour ride to the train station, and then from the train station to, because the Long Island Railroad only goes out as far as Ronkonkoma, and
Mhm.
I'm like 25 minutes past that, so I have to go there and then get an Uber. So, but when I go, I still go to the city probably a couple times a week just because of just meetings and whatever and stuff like that. I have a few friends there, so we'll totally meet up at some point one day. I'll be in there this weekend for a bit.
Yeah, I
Um,
definitely plan on coming back to New York just to like, I still got friends there.
it's
I still have I don't know, like business and like things that I want to do.
yeah. What years were you in New York?
2014 to I moved 2014. I left right before 2022.
Did,
Um
did you move because of like the pandemic, or did you move because you had more opportunities? Was it healthcare?
No, I moved because I was too sick to like I was like really, really, really sick. And it got to the point where I was like on the subway platform, like ready, like going to a doctor's appointment.
Yeah.
And I I was so dizzy that I was like, this is how I die. Like I'm gonna fall and I'm gonna fall onto the tracks or fall down the stairs, like whatever it is. So I was like, I gotta leave. And I was going blind in my right eye. It was
Oh,
like crazy, crazy stuff. But obviously I'm better now. But yeah, I was like, I gotta go. So I moved back in with my parents and I'm in my 30s. That was very humbling to say the least. But I'm no longer living with my parents, and trying to get back on my feet and on a treatment plan and all that stuff.
what was that sickness when you were younger that kind of forced you to move, forced you to go back in with the parents? Was that something that was related to the MS, or was that something that was it, or was something completely different and the MS just made it worse?
Yeah, so it's like I could like sit here and like tell you about my whole medical history, but basically it was MS. I had been
Okay.
diagnosed with MS in 2021, and after being put on drugs, the drugs just like sent me into a downward spiral. That was when I started going blind, and
Oh,
just had like a bunch of new symptoms. Drugs work for some people, but
so you get what the blind or the temporary blindness was because of the drugs, not from the disease.
well, I mean, I can't really say for sure because I've seen like so many specialists, so many doctors, and like nobody could really explain why.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, this is something that I'm not going to go too far into detail about it, just because it's like a long
Yeah,
story.
yeah, no, it's fine.
But I very recently found out that I actually have Lyme disease. And it's
Oh,
that's one of the things that people often get misdiagnosed with MS. So the
no.
drugs were essentially like impairing my body's ability to like fight back.
Oh,
Yeah, and like I said, I'm starting a treatment plan soon, but it's just this whole thing of like, I just to get the confirmation of my diagnosis, it was like $1,000 blood test out of pocket. It's crazy,
oh,
like the hoops you have to jump through when you're diagnosed with something like this that people don't
Jesus.
realize. But I consider myself really lucky to have figured this out.
Yeah.
Um, and it turned my life upside down for, about 2 years now. But like I said, I'm feeling better. And hopefully that trend will continue.
Yeah. So when moving, what was the point of moving still within the US and not moving somewhere, let's say like Canada or Europe, where the healthcare would have been cheaper, if not free?
Well, that would have just like, I had been sick for a while, And, being sick like this, it will completely decimate like your life savings.
Yeah.
Like I was broke, I just paying for doctor's appointments and all of that. I had to go and like live with my parents. I could not live independently.
Yeah.
That's how sick I was. Eventually I do plan on going to a place where healthcare is more accessible and cheaper. But that's more of like a long-term plan, like immigration and all that stuff takes years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually have access to citizenship by descent in a European country. So working on getting all my papers in order.
Nice. Which country? You don't have to answer that if you didn't want to. Just somewhere in Europe.
An Eastern European country.
Cool. I'm actually from Peru. I was born there, but their medical it's third world. Better off in the U.S. Better off almost anywhere else. But I'm going somewhere foreign soon, and I wanted to get a foreign passport because sometimes when certain countries see, oh, American passport, like even like someone at like that's checking it at the airport will have like contacts with, people, oh, hey, Americans coming in, and not that I look wealthy at all. I'm definitely not. And I definitely don't dress like it. But sometimes it is safer to travel with a foreign passport because a lot of people associate Americans with money. And if you have a foreign one, they might think less. So I'm just a little paranoid at that particular thing.
No, that's totally a thing. Like, when the last time that I was traveling in Europe, I feel like I kind of, I can like dress in a certain way. I don't look very American. But I was definitely like, especially in France, there were like certain cafes I would go to, and people wouldn't really like question where I was from. But I was at this like one cafe. It was like a pizza place close to Sacré-Cœur, and I stop in and I'm like, oh, like, order pizza, like, a bottle of wine, whatever. And the lady's like super nice to me and like, oh yeah, sure, of course. And then this family of like very chronically American looking tourists shows up with like, you know what I mean? Like the polo shirt and the socks and like the sneakers, all of it. And she was so rude to them.
Oh no.
And she was like, this isn't McDonald's. You have to order blah, blah. And I was like, but yeah, I know what you mean. Like people look at Americans, in other countries, like like either they have money or they're assholes, or whatever it is.
I will say this, that even though I did get a little bit of that, I go to Europe a lot. I do get a little bit of that every now and then, but the thing that I found most, I don't know, it's like a backhanded compliment or just like, when in like America, most people would be like, oh, you're like Spanish, maybe you're probably Mexican or whatever. And like, nobody thinks of really Peru right away. But when I'm in Europe, I'm not Spanish. They're just like, oh, you're just American. Like they don't see like and it doesn't matter who I'm with. Like they're like, oh, you're still American. That's like the kind of common thing that I don't want to say that they don't see color or they don't see race, but they just label you as American, which is both kind of cool and also interesting at the same time. I was like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah, you're not like I said, like the chronically American, like you don't fit that stereotype. You know what I mean though? The polo shirt,
well, I
the
mean,
socks.
when I grow up, I mean, it's kind of looking at it now. If I had shorter hair and I didn't look like Danny Trejo or whatever, it would have like I look like a terrorist. Like, and I 100% expect to just get randomly selected as like I do try to shave before I have to travel, because try to make people feel a little more. I mean, also it helps when I go to the actual the airport security, and when they ask for ID, I can give them like military ID and like, oh, okay, he's cool. He's just it's fine. So that kind of helps. But yeah, that's how I travel sometimes. So we're talking about how a lot of this is expensive. You are the creator of Fartcoin, which I think in one of your TikToks you said had actually had a market cap of over like $1 million at one point. But I don't know if you ever sold. You basically just airdropped a lot of it, and you gave a lot of it away. can you tell us a little bit about Fartcoin, where the idea came from and the success, and just tell us all about it.
Whew, this is another long story.
Love
I'll start from the very beginning. Very good place to start. Yeah, so I initially, so I deployed the contract because I was like, I want my friends to make crypto wallets. I want my friends to like start to understand cryptocurrency. And I want to make something really stupid. So I'll be like, hey, let me send you some farts. That was like the whole reason why I made it, because I had been like, learning about cryptocurrency and smart contracts for like a while before I really got into making commercial music. I worked as an audio engineer at a podcasting studio, and I recorded and edited a bunch of podcasts about crypto. This was before the bull run.
So this was 2019?
Yeah, 2019. Yeah. 2018. No, 2019. Yeah. But I had known about crypto and like had been kind of like reading about it for a while, but that like really got me into like understanding like becoming like a nerd about like tokenomics and like all of these different things. So anyway, I deployed the contract one night and made a TikTok about it. I was like, whatever, people, I'll like airdrop whoever wants farts because I think it's funny. And then I woke up the next day and it was at a $3 million market cap. Just to be clear, that does not mean there was $3 million worth of liquidity. We've had like, liquidity issues this entire time because like it started out as a joke, and I think I provided like a very small amount of liquidity. I put up, it was like maybe $100 for me to like deploy the contract, do airdrops, and like do all the things. Eventually the expenses started adding up as the project got bigger. But anyway, yeah, so it got entirely out of hand. At one point, it was sitting at a $30 million market cap. Yeah, insane. And I'm just sitting there, like, looking at my phone, like, watching the chart, and I'm like, what do I do? Like, this contract is so basic. I literally couldn't even pause the contract. I couldn't, like, do very much with it. And people in the Discord were like, we want this, we want that. Why don't you blah, blah, blah. I was like, I literally can't do these things because like I just deployed a very simple smart contract. Yeah. So anyway, that ended up just kind of kept snowballing and, all of these different things. And eventually me and another teammate orchestrated a migration. And it was like not, because, usually when you do a migration, you pause the contract and then you give people the new tokens and, you do all this stuff.
It's really rough. Yeah.
Yeah. But because the contract was so simple, we couldn't do any of that. So we essentially did a soft rug and then just like took a snapshot and airdropped everyone and injected the liquidity back into the new contract. So that's the contract we're on now. And
what blockchain is it?
So we're on BNB. Okay, cool. I wanted to do a cross-chain migration, but I'm not going to get into the details of that. But I'm happy with I think Binance will survive.
You have where's the liquidity pools that we could get some? Is it on like PancakeSwap or Uniswap or?
Yeah, so right now it's only available on PancakeSwap, and the interesting thing, I don't know if you read much about the Fartcoin contract. But the interesting thing about the Fartcoin contract is we've implemented, and this has only been done, I think there's only 2 tokens out there right now that are doing this. So there's 2 pools. There's the liquidity pool and then there's the floor pool. And, the liquidity pool works regularly as it would with any token. However, there is a safety net for the floor pool. It cannot be accessed by any one singular entity or person. But the way that it works is it grows with the tax, hence the name like rising floor token. I've used that term to describe Fartcoin, the new contract. And basically how it works is with each buy and sell, a certain percentage of that goes to the floor pool. And so in order to redeem the value of your tokens, you don't have to sell them necessarily. You can burn them for the value
Oh,
of the floor. And what happens is when you send your tokens to the burn wallet, it will send you back the commiserate amount of BNB.
oh,
So it's kind of like I said, it's a safety net. So
yeah.
that even if the liquidity pool is drained, people can still access some liquidity through the floor pool. And also it has some interesting mechanisms to it. So for instance, if the liquidity, okay, this is reversed. So I'm trying to explain this. But if the liquidity pool is drained, then the trading price will actually be lower than the floor price. So what you can actually do is you can buy the token for
At
super
the
cheap.
floor and then burn
And
it.
then, yeah.
Yeah.
And then burn it and get more BNB back. So anyway, it's an experiment, and it's still very much in. I mean, the contract is working as it should, which is like exciting to see. But it's still very much like an experiment in the space.
How many tokens are left?
About 4 trillion.
And so there were 8 trillion at one point?
Yeah. It
Okay.
was initially with the first contract, it was 8 billion because it was like one fart per person on the earth. um,
Then you realize
but
people fart multiple times a day, and then
yeah, exactly. So we had to increase the supply. But yeah, no, we just increased the supply because it just made more sense to have like a larger supply. 8 billion is like really not that much.
yeah. So half has been burned, and the if I could I just like can I just buy it from you like straight from the source if I want to just like PayPal you or just send you some USDC?
I mean, like technically that is feasible. However, as a founder of a small cap crypto project, I am very adamant on keeping everything like fair and doing everything ethically. I haven't taken a single cent out of the Fartcoin liquidity pool for my own expenses. Like anything that was taken out by a dev wallet was for like legal fees because we had a lawyer to like advise on all of this and advise us on the rising floor model. But I mean, I even though I have like thousands of dollars of health bills, I still think it's like my middle name is not Sam Bankman-Fried, and I don't think it's my duty to take money from the liquidity pool of a project that like those people didn't agree to pay for my medical bills. So I'm just going to let that money sit there, and
So what
hopefully
is
believe
the
in the contract.
what is the or how many tokens do you have that you could sell if you were to do that? Which you said you don't want, but
Well, so I have I have agreed to not sell any of my tokens. Like what
like
essentially
ever or just for the next like 2 years or something?
ever.
Oh, wow.
Because the thing is like I don't have to sell my tokens in order to get liquidity. I could just burn
You
them.
just burn them. Good. Oh, that's a good point.
And that's the other great thing about that. Sorry, I'm trying to like log into my MetaMask. Anyway,
Oh, no.
it's not letting me because I could tell you the exact amount of tokens I have. But that's the other thing is any sort of VC who wants to come in, you can have a contract with them that says, okay, you're never allowed to sell, you can only burn, and the floor will always rise.
Yeah.
So as long as the price of BNB maintains some integrity, they'll be able to get something back.
And that'll most likely rise in the next couple of years due to the next bull market. So probably gonna have a good time.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I've said this from the beginning. This project doesn't exist to make me rich. I honestly like. I don't want to say I don't care about money because obviously I need to survive. I care about having my needs met, but I don't care about being like I don't want to be a billionaire. I don't really care about that. It's mostly I just want to see this contract thrive and hopefully like provide like innovation for the space because I think that the rising floor can really change the way that we look at how tokens are built.
Yeah.
Because it's just a more it can provide more stability in the market. It's ridiculous. You can buy a meme token and the next day it just like goes immediately to zero because somebody like rug pulled.
Yeah.
So the rising floor in some ways can like really keep people honest.
Yeah. And then that also on the opposite could happen where it become a meme coin and people could, like you said, it had a $30 million market cap at one point. And again, like even if some people were desperate to cash out just to lock in those profits, they could just burn. and and that's good for all parties involved. So obviously not, or maybe today, maybe later after this, or at another date. Can you walk me through how to like go and get some?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's I don't want to like meaninglessly shill on here, but
YOLO,
there
sure.
is a website, fartcoin.us, where you can read the light paper. I
Yeah.
just released another copy of that with all of the details on the taxes and how the rising floor works. And there's also links to like the contract address, and you can get it on Pancake Swap using that.
Okay. So I will, not that I'm going to say it as like a joke, but I will say the only other like absolute degen play I have is with this thing called Toshimon, which, as you can guess, is like a complete ripoff of Pokemon. But it's a really
Yeah.
cool thing that they're doing. They have a proof of fairness thing. So this is the type of thing that I would love to just throw a couple $100 at, or maybe a grand at, and be like, we'll see where it goes in a couple of years.
Well, not financial advice, but do what you will.
I mean, if the floor is consistently rising, I don't, I don't see how it seems pretty legit. So I'm gonna, and also, I don't think Brock would choose to try to help someone that he thought would be any chance of like a scammer or any. Um, so that's one of the other things I wanted to go over with. I think you had said you didn't know who Brock was at the time when he offered to. How did you guys meet? How did you and the CEO of Feesh, one of the best NFT projects around, how did y'all meet? What's that story?
So we met actually like via hi. We met via TikTok. Actually, he saw one of my initial like posts about Fartcoin, and I guess thought it was funny. And
Yeah.
then he's like, "Hey, like, let me send you some Feesh." And at the time, I don't know if I ever told him this story, but like, I had so many people in my inbox, and a lot of people who were actually like trying to scam me. Um, and a lot of people who were like trying to offer help, or they were just coming from a malicious place. So anyway, he was like, "Oh, let me send you some NFTs," and I was like, "Okay, sure." So I gave him like a burner wallet address, and I was like, because like I don't want this to like
Yeah.
interfere. Like, I mean, even though it's on ETH, whatever. I didn't want it to interfere with anything that like I had, with the wallet, with my other wallets. So anyway, and then I go and I look at the NFTs and I look at the website. I'm like, oh wow, like this is really cute. This is really cool. This is legit. Okay, this person's legit. And we just were chatting, and just kind of built a rapport and like became friends. And then it was, when was it? It was just like at a time when like my health was like a roller coaster. And I don't really know if anyone else online could really notice it because I'm really good at faking it, and just putting on a happy face and, recording videos for TikTok. But I was really, really sick. And I had posted like a friends only video being like, guys, like I'm hitting bottom here, and I really want to get the stem cell treatment, and blah blah blah. But I've spent thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars of my own money on healthcare so far, and I'm broke. And he really like showed up and was like, "Hey, all right, like let's do this." And it was like, I still like can't fully wrap my head around like the whole thing, because it was like I was so ill, and just couldn't, like neurologically, like when your brain isn't working like that, you just can't fathom or like compute anything.
Mm-hmm.
And he just messages me and he's like, "Hey, we did the fundraiser." And I was like, "That quickly?" Like, what?
Each fan
Um,
is dedicated.
yeah. And I think within like maybe 2 months, I was down and came in getting the stem cells, and it like completely turned the ship around with my health. Like, leading up to that, I had like a countdown of days because I was in so much pain, and it was like, just cooking breakfast for myself was like the task of the day.
Oh,
It was nuts. But I'm here, and I can run up and down the stairs in my house without like feeling like my heart is pounding out of my chest. And
it's good.
I can actually like do things. I'm still on the wellness path. You know, I still have bad days, but they're not nearly as bad as my bad days before.
Good. So you have a higher low. That makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Brock is very chaotic good. I remember on like 2 months ago, I was on a cruise. I took a cruise for my birthday with a friend, and I was on acid, and I was like, "Hey, Brock, you're just an awesome dude. Just like keep doing what you're doing, man." He's like, and I assume I said it in like a very weird way because my brain was all like on drugs. He's like, "Thanks, man." I was like, I don't hope I didn't cross the lines. Like I was like, "I love you, man." Just like sounded weird.
I'm
But
amazed at his ability to like do so many different things and
yeah,
like just continually like just how consistent everything is with the Feesh project.
yeah, that's insane. That's like not human. Right? And because I know there are other companies with a couple of people that's all they do, doing some projects, and they can't deliver what Brock can while he has a bunch of other stuff going on. This is not all that he does. And it's like, oh my God.
I mean,
And
yeah, as a creator in the space, like you know, it's a lot to. We did like one game for Fartcoin that came out I think in November. Yeah, it was in November. And like that was like a huge deal for me and the dev, just to like get, you know, something in beta out. So I doing
is
a lot.
it still out? Is it like
Yeah,
playable?
yeah. So I mean, it's
Is,
still in beta.
is it on fartcoin.us?
Yeah, there's a link to it's called Booty Bouncers, and it's this, yeah, it's this like really silly game where you basically you can connect your NFT to the like an app on your phone. We had some difficulty getting it through the App Store because of, you know, like Apple wants to collect all the sales from NFTs and
Yeah.
but anyway, yeah, it's like this little game where you're in a spaceship and you have to hit all these different like fruits and things, and we had like prize giveaways for people who made it on the leaderboard. But that's something that you know, it's not something that was like a forever thing.
Right.
But we're trying to revisit and like figure out like what else we can do, because I want to create a game that's like entirely uh, doesn't have to be like manually run in terms of like the smart contract aspect of it.
Mhm.
But that's for later.
Right. There was I don't I guess Brock was watching one of my live streams, and we were talking about fiches, and then talking about like, you can fork these games and you can make whatever you want, and like there could be a game as simple as you're this hermit crab and you're growing at a, however, whatever X rate, and you have to find a suitable shell for your next shell because hermit crabs outgrow their shell. It's like he could call it like Project Hermit Crab, and then he messages me. He's like, "Don't leak Project Hermit Crab," and obviously it was like a joke, but just something as simple as that, like I would play. I love simple games. I mean, I love even like the old school like Pokemon games. Those like Nintendo Direct. Are you a gamer? Are you like a Nintendo person?
I don't have a console right now, but like I have played many a game in my life.
Nintendo Direct was out the other day or yesterday, and they had announced Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga is coming to Switch, and that was like one of my favorite games on Game Boy Advance, and I can't wait to get it.
Have you
Um,
played? I'm sure you've played the new Mario Party. It's not
eight?
like all that new. It's new within like the past 2 years.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I played all the Mario Parties, and I love them. They're amazing.
Yeah, the new one is like super fun. The ice hockey. I don't know. I love just like playing the stupid games where like you don't really have that much control over.
Oh, the
Like,
RNG.
it's all kind of up to fate.
Yeah, those ones are like so nerve-wracking because it's like it's luck, and if I win, oh, I'm lucky, and if I lose, like you're not that skilled. It was just luck. I get so into those games. It's yeah, very, very, very strange how people get so like emotional over it, and like that meme is like, oh, I beat up my friend because he beat me in Mario Party or Uno or something like that, and I've seen that in so many different places. Like there's a bar in my one of my old towns that I used to live in, that they would have like a trivia night, and one side of the bar would be like gold team, the other side would be like blue team, and then like the amount of shit that was said like across the bar, it was like, hope you get divorced, or like, hope your children are born without legs, and I was like, God damn.
People are so competitive. But you know
Yeah.
what? I will say, like, I don't know, I remember I'm aging myself now, but being a kid and playing GoldenEye with my friends. There was like legit, like we would get into like fights and like not speak to each other because like somebody, but like, do you remember the character Odd Job? He was like shorter than everyone else. He was really, yeah, he was really hard to kill. And
Yeah, you
like,
can't hit his head. Yeah.
yeah. It's like you can't play with Odd Job. You can't like stand in a corner with the golden gun and like wait for somebody to like come out. Like we had all these rules. Oh my god.
There's mods of that where you could play as like Yoshi, Peach, Luigi, or Mario, and it's so much fun to see like Yoshi with a gun just murdering people. It's it's the
Oh my god.
greatest thing. I wish that, like, there's things that Disney can no longer control, like the Winnie the Pooh entered public domain last year, so Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey is coming out like next week, and it's some guy in a Pooh costume just murdering people, and it looks so good. And I wish there was more stuff like that. Like, I know Steamboat Willie is going to enter public domain. I want to see Mickey Mouse just hacking people to death. Is that weird? Like, I know this is like your first time, our first time meeting. Please don't like.
No, I think like the whole public domain thing is really interesting to me, especially as a musician. Like I definitely I take advantage of that when I can. Um but what's interesting is the new big thing for like all of these giant investment firms is buying up rights to music. And also just like intellectual property in general. And I really wonder if the public domain, like if those laws are going to change because was it like, if you're buying like the Beatles catalog, songs that were written in um
The
you know
60s.
the 60s, like, I mean, there's still going to be like under that copyright for like a period of time, but like, are you really going to be able to recoup that however many $billion it cost you? Or like Bruce Springsteen's catalog, and is that really going to be relevant in the time from now until I don't know.
Yeah.
I really feel like some of these investment firms have something up their sleeve in terms of like changing those laws, because why would they be buying up all of this intellectual property? I mean, obviously it's going to become very valuable in terms of just with the way the internet is and media is heading. Like intellectual property is king. And I've experienced that as a musician. Like there are songs that I wrote over a decade ago that like I still get checks from. They're not huge checks, but like, it's a nice little deposit in my bank account each quarter when I get my royalty statement. But that's kind of the goal as a musician. It's like retain all your rights and then license the stuff out, and then you can pass that stuff on to, I mean, I'm not going to have kids, but my nieces. And that can really build up a lot of capital for you. But anyway, I wonder what's going to happen with the public domain law.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Like, yeah, you spend $1 billion on this, you lobby Congress for 50 million, which is nothing. If you're spending $1 billion on that, okay, well, 5% of that, yeah, that's a really interesting idea. I hadn't thought of that, and that's, I don't know. I mean, also, I feel like they would have to lobby Congress to like say, hey, if anyone's caught using like a bot or a script to buy these at the right time, then they get like 100 years in prison or something. Because if the domain rights are coming out at a certain time, and somebody has a couple $1 million and they're just going to buy it, like I think in 2015 or 2016, the domain rights for Jeb Bush, his like website, were like expiring, so Trump bought it, and as soon as you would log on to like jebbush.com, it would move you over to like trump.com. And I was like, oh, like that's, yeah. And I feel like older people just kind of like don't understand that. and that's how it happened. Um, I didn't think of that though, especially for music. Like I think Taylor Swift has a thing where she makes the music, but then she has a separate company that has the rights or buys it. Um, what do you do for your music? What do you do for as far as to make sure it stays yours?
I've never signed a deal with a record label, and any of the people who I work with, like, so I have a publishing company, and I have the option of being like, hey, here's a song, and like I can sign over the publishing to them if and that would benefit me too, because then it's essentially like in their catalog and they're pitching it in order to make money, and it would make me money. But then they would perpetually own the publishing for that song. I'm actually in a situation right now where I'm trying to get some of the publishing to one of my songs back, but that's just kind of how it is, like when you work with publishing companies like that. But in terms of like my own like as an LLC and the work that I do, I am the publishing company. So if somebody comes to me and says, hey, I want to license this song, like I own every single part of it. And sometimes it does benefit me to work with agents and publishing companies, but if I can retain the rights, especially to like my own work that I release as an artist, I can collect all of the royalties for that. So that's the goal. Like as an artist, you want to retain as much of the rights to your music as you can, so you can eventually, like, if you are successful enough and a record company comes to you, you have something that you can kind of hold over their head. Be like, well, this publishing is going to make you, millions of dollars over the next, 20 years if you want to buy it. But now it's coming at a premium,
Yeah. How has the rise of like TikTok and Instagram, how has that changed that for publishing companies and artists? Because now you can have, and I guess blockchain as well, the new technologies allow you to say like, hey, this is mine. And I feel like I said, we were talking before, when was the last time anyone like bought music? I haven't bought a CD, and that was the last time I bought music in like ever. It's been well over 10 years. How has that changed?
It's a really multifaceted question. I mean, as an artist, like TikTok has been great for me, because like I've had songs, that have kind of popped off there, and have gotten attention from some other people and led to collaborations, and gotten me streams on streaming platforms. But yeah, I mean, it's great, like, as exposure. The thing is, like, as an independent artist, like, you really do have your toolbox, like, right in your hands now. You don't have to rely on a record label or some sort of, like, big, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, system that you have to, like, wiggle your way into. You can just, like, do it. You just have to get the skills of, learning, like, marketing and, like, if you want to do ads, going that route, or, like, learning how to use hashtags, whatever it is. In terms of, like, blockchain stuff and, like, ownership, I think a lot of people, it's difficult because, if you buy an NFT of a song, that doesn't mean you own the song. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of get mixed up, because you own that NFT, which is a representation of that song. It's like owning a CD, but that doesn't mean you own the publishing or the master of the song, unless it explicitly states in the contract that you do. So, and I think that it's going to be interesting with like copyright laws. I mean, people have already run into it, like you can mint an NFT of like the Nike symbol and sell it. That doesn't mean you own it. That means
can you though? Can't they send you a cease and desist though from that? Because
exactly. But then it's still permanently on the blockchain, unless it's burnt or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to blockchain, I think it'll be useful eventually, like a whole infrastructure, like the whole infrastructure of royalties kind of needs to be like uprooted in order to like utilize blockchain in the proper way. But it has the potential to really make a huge difference and make a lot of things easier for artists. The infrastructure just like isn't there yet. I don't know. I could go off onto a tangent of all of my ideas, but I won't.
So you said you have one of your songs that you're trying to get the publishing rights to back, but you haven't signed with like a major corporation, like a major label, right? So
Yeah.
there's a couple lines in a song from Pink, "Don't Let Me Get Me," saying, "LA told me you'll be a pop star. All you have to change is everything you are. Tired of being compared to damn Britney Spears. She's so pretty. That just ain't me." What is that verse? What do those lines mean to you? Do you agree? Do you think that that's still the way it is? Is that something you'd ever succumb to for the right amount of money? Um, if yes, why? And if no, why?
Well, first of all, I love Pink.
Same. We should
Um,
become best friends.
yeah, she's actually from where I'm from, in Philadelphia.
Cool.
But
Love Philly.
yeah, and she went to like one of the same dance schools that I went to as a kid randomly.
Oh, dope.
But yeah, I mean, I think the industry has changed a lot. Obviously, I don't think it has to do with the industry as much as it has to do with like the audience, which is kind of, I mean, people have become more accepting and understanding over the years of like people who aren't the perfect bleach blonde, skinny pop star type. But I noticed when I wear makeup and dress in a certain way on my TikTok videos, I get more views. Do I feel pressure to like do that all the time? No, because I care more about authenticity and care more about I don't know, I'm not here to like paint a fake picture of who I am.
No.
I've been on the internet since I was a teenager, and never felt the need to like I don't know, be fake. Um and I also like I'm really glad that I didn't move to LA in my 20s because I think I would have succumbed more to like the industry. Because the industry, like that's where the industry is.
Yeah.
Um and that's where people say they feel the most pressure. But I think having moved to New York towards the end of my 20s, um, yeah, I don't know, it just kind of like built a different character for me. I also like I don't really have giant aspirations. Like, yeah, I want people to listen to my music. I want people to connect with it, but I I don't know. I'm like a bit of an anarchist. I don't really care about being famous. I don't really care about making lots of money. I just want to like do cool shit.
I I agree. I consider myself like a libertarian, kind of very against like the far right and the far left, and a little more in the middle. And there's this thing called Pork Fest, where Pork Fest is like a week-long camping trip where like libertarians, anarchists, anyone that's really anti like big government just like goes, and it's so strange. There's kids there, but there's also like workshops on like how to like build your own bee house and how to do, and then there's also a bunch of drugs there. And then there's also I'm like the minority where I pay like in dollars. Everyone else is paying in like crypto or they're paying in like bits of silver. It's really strange. Um, but there, so obviously being a fan of your TikTok and just watching a bunch of them, I have also noticed that there is a maybe a little bit of hostility towards certain billionaires. Do you think that, and some of it I definitely think is deserved. Um, do you think that your want to stay away, or maybe not stay away from money, you just don't care about it? Do you think that all billionaires are inherently evil, or do you think that people are inherently good, but the money just makes them evil? And if so, why?
Um, I think that no billionaire got to where they are without exploiting another person, at least one other person, most likely many other people. And that's a big reason why I'm so vocal about it. And I also don't think that our human brains are capable of understanding what the number billion means. I don't think that anyone can really understand like that, how much that giant amount of wealth, whether it's like paper wealth or not, like what it means. I don't think anyone should have that kind of power. And I've seen it with my own two eyes that like money does change people, you know. Power
Big learning
makes
curve.
people less empathetic. There are like studies on this. And, you know, I don't think that the individuals themselves like set out to be like, haha, I will be an evil mastermind. I think that, you know, life worked out for them in a certain way and then they got a taste for it. And it kind of, you know, it led them on this path of exponential growth, which, you know, is just unsustainable, completely unsustainable. And hoarding wealth like that, you know, it doesn't benefit anyone in society. Like I said, I'm a bit of an anarchist, so I just don't like it. To me, it's like the word billionaire doesn't really mean anything because like when you're like, you know, stripped down to like the core of like who you are and what you have, beyond you know, a number in your bank account or even your physical possessions, like what do you have? Are you a decent person? Do you care about other people? Have you provided, you know, community for anyone, or have you, you know, contributed to anyone else's well-being? That's what I care about.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a more philosophical answer to that
No,
question.
that's great. I love that type of answer and discussion. There's a quote from a woman named Diane in the show BoJack Horseman, where she says, "I don't really believe in deep down because your actions are really just more who you are. It's just your actions is what you do, and it doesn't really matter what deep down really is." There's a one comic where Batman dies and Dick Grayson is he inherits all of Batman's like wealth. And Dick Grayson's not like a business person. He doesn't know what to do with it. So he in this one issue he just like gives it all away to like all this charity. He's like, I don't need this much money. I'll take like this little bit for to fund whatever. And everyone was like cheering. But then in the following issues, it had said that okay, yes, you helped a certain amount of people for a certain amount of time, and then all the problems just kind of went back to the way it was. Like you put like a band-aid on it. If you had like a great Uncle Murray or you won lotto and you inherited after taxes, after whatever, 10 figures, $1 billion, how would you try to help the world? Or how would you try, like, would you set up trusts and charities? Would you fund already existing ones? Would you go and like kind of like a Mr. Beast and be like, hey, I'm going to not only help people get their site back, but also document it and show the world that this is what billionaires should do with their funds, or somewhere in between?
Well, you know, like I've thought about this before because, like, you know, the lottery was up to Jesus Christ. What was it up to recently? Like almost like however many billions of dollars. And
Yeah,
I
it's a
don't play
lot.
the lottery. But I was just thinking about it, like, oh man, like what does somebody do, you know, when they win that? Um, and then I was thinking from, I mean, you know, it wouldn't make a dent in the like the US tokenomics model if somebody just burnt all that money. And besides, it's illegal to do that anyway. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously like setting up trusts, that's like the first thing you do. Um somewhere where people can't figure out a way to sue you, to and take all your money. But I, you know, I feel like obviously like helping certain organizations, you know, is like an important thing. But I also feel like you know, people talk shit on Mr. Beast, and I'm not like a huge fan of him, but I'm also not like one of those people who was like, you know, coming after him after the vision surgery video came out.
Yeah,
But I really do believe that like helping individual people often has a more of an impact than helping organizations sometimes. Um, and I've just, because of like my own personal experience, you know, volunteering and, you know, seeing how people's lives can really change. Um, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, set up a trust and then like try to give away as much as you can as possible. Fund some organizations, provide free housing, try to fix the homelessness crisis. Honestly, because like, it's like just make sure people are housed and fed and have health care. Those are like the three things that if I had lots of money, like I would want to like fix.
yeah.
Because you know we all deserve those things.
Agreed. I would the housing thing is really difficult because a lot of them are like homeless vets with like bad PTSD. A lot of them are just drug addicts, and it's just like, okay, you can give them a house, but they'll still have PTSD and they'll still have the drug addiction. So you have to like somehow either get them a whole bunch of therapy for the PTSD, or maybe take that mushrooms, and the heroin is like, there's some drug that is it's weird. It's illegal, but it can cure heroin addiction pretty much overnight. Is what?
Ibogaine.
Yes, that's what it is it still illegal, or did
I don't
they
know. And the
fix
only
it?
reason I know about that is because actually, interestingly enough, a lot of psychedelics that have been used to fix or cure, whatever the word you want to use, drug addiction are also used for autoimmune patients.
Um,
And I had like looked into like research about that for a while, and Ibogaine was one of the big ones that came up.
and
I
that
don't know if
helps,
it's legal or not.
and that helps with the autoimmune issues. Navigating.
Um, I can't remember exactly what I read, but a lot of people actually like really swear by, some
Oh,
people have done like, the really extreme ones like ayahuasca.
oh,
Um,
I love that.
and
I
I've
love
never
that.
done it. I'm curious. I have to admit, I'm curious about it, but I've never tried it. I just also like, my body has been so frail and weak for so long that, I can't, I can't
Don't want to
poison
risk.
myself with something else just yet.
Yeah, there's
But maybe to get over the trauma
yeah,
eventually.
the so I psychedelics are like my thing, and like I'll attribute most of my financial success to LSD because it's makes you think. Like if you already think outside the box, it'll make you think instead of six different ways that nobody would think of, you'll think of 18 different ways that nobody would think of. And it just shows you every angle, like every possible. Again, that's just for me. Obviously, talk to
Yeah, one
doctors.
of the things I will say is I've tried, you know, uh, magic mushrooms as a remedy for all the neurological stuff. And this was a while ago, but I tried it in very small doses several times, and each time it was like I had no physical pain when I was on them, which like I haven't experienced that in a decade. This is something I've been sick for like 11 years now. Um, and it was just in that time, like it was crazy. Like I hadn't experienced that um, in a decade of like not having pain. And that was like really, really incredible for me.
So you think microdosing is something that could be a potential treatment? Obviously, not where you're like zonked off your butt, but something where it's like it just gives you that relief of pain.
And this is one of the things that I've like read about as well, because it is being studied for autoimmune patients, like people with these sorts of things, and especially for like neurological diseases, because I guess like what psychedelics do, like they have the potential to like rewire the synapses, and I forget like which receptor it is that mushrooms specifically affect, but it just basically it's kind of like a reset button. And so, if your brain is wired in this way and it's telling you, your shoulder hurts, and, physically, maybe you have like a muscle spasm or whatever it is, it has the potential to like rewire that and say like, okay, like we're not going to use that synapse anymore. We're going to use this alternate one that somehow, yeah, I don't really know how it works. That's my basic explanation, but it worked for me.
Cool. I do get that. What 'cause I have rheumatoid arthritis, and like my knees are like, and sometimes my elbows, like a lot of joints just hurt like every day. And when I'm on LSD, like it doesn't hurt anymore.
Oh,
I thought it
wow.
was mostly just because of like the high or whatever. But as soon as I come down from it, it's like, oh, body hurts again. But I didn't know that. I really have to look into that. And then
Yeah, and rheumatoid arthritis, I mean, it's like, joint inflammation and all of that, but I think it also, correct me if I'm wrong, it has some like sort of like neurological stuff too.
it probably does. I don't know. I was,
Yeah.
yeah, I was
Um,
I was
yeah, I
still
just
serving when I
recently,
had it.
the reason I ask, what I'm discovering like in my health journey is that a lot of people who are diagnosed with autoimmune disease, whether it be rheumatoid arthritis or multiple sclerosis, even sometimes things like Parkinson's, um, they are diagnosed with these diseases, and you basically just live with it. And then a lot of people later on will find out that they have some form of tick-borne illness or Lyme disease.
Like Ehrlichia or anaplasmosis or something like that.
Yeah. And that was the case for me. And, I'm going to have to go through this treatment and see if it works for me. But I forget where I was going with this. Oh, no, I didn't know. I traced it back to, because like they can tell by which microbes are in your blood, which part of the country or the world these microbes are. And I basically just figured out like, oh, wait, I was in Texas 11 years ago. And I don't remember getting bitten by a tick, but I got a flu. And I was staying with my friends in this like tiny 1-bedroom apartment. So like, if I had the flu, they would have gotten the flu, but I was the only one who got sick. And when I look back at like the symptoms, it's like, yeah, I had all the symptoms of like getting bitten by a tick with Lyme disease. But I was just never properly tested for it. The Western blot is very unreliable, and you have to pay like the test that I got that actually explained, what was going on and like which microbes I have. It was $1,000 out of pocket.
What?
Yeah. And like, there's no other test you can get that a doctor can order that is covered by insurance. But I was like, I need to know, because if it's this thing that is treatable, very treatable,
yeah,
then why am I walking around getting prescribed immunosuppressant drugs?
Yeah. So, maybe that's what I never. So I used to be a veterinarian assistant, and like $45, like 3 drops of blood and 4 drops of whatever blue solution it was, and then they would test for Lyme, Ehrlichia, anaplasmosis, and then something else. But that's strange that $1,000. They marked it up so much. That's ridiculous. But I never actually got tested for that, I don't think. I'll keep you posted. I'll tell my friend Mark, who's a veterinarian, like, hey, can you like test this for me? I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, I can send you the info of because the whole thing with Lyme disease is that the test, the Western blot, was created. Sorry, I'm reading.
Oh, yeah.
The test was created, I think, in the 70s, but either way, it was created a long time ago, and it hasn't been updated since. But they've discovered all of these different new species of Borrelia, Babesia, and other tick-borne illnesses that don't show up on a Western blot, which is the traditional Lyme test that you go to your doctor, you ask them to test you for Lyme, they give you this one specific test.
Yeah.
So since then they've discovered like tons of different types of tick-borne illnesses that they just don't test for. So I don't know. I mean, there's like a whole controversy about it, which is interesting, because it's like, okay, it's literally like, it's something you can like put your blood onto what is it? They call it a slide, and put it under a microscope and see the little spirochetes swimming around. But some people, the CDC doesn't recognize it as like a real thing still, but it's because they haven't updated their guidelines.
Yeah. Okay. So I didn't realize we would go that far down the.
Sorry, yeah, it was
no, that's great. That's good. So before we'll bring it back to, I guess, TikTok and other stuff, you were mentioning that some of your viewers, you get a lot more views when you are in an alter ego state. And I want to ask about the alter ego, but first, I think one of the most highly viewed ones that you had was when you were not in your brunette wig and you were in like a George Washington looking wig. And it was about the cupcakes founded the United States. Can you tell us about, or the cupcake? Was that a typo?
Cupcake.
Cupcake. Yeah, tell us about that, please.
Yeah. So, I was like, I don't know if you're on like Cupcake Remix TikTok, where people, so like, there's several songs. She's this rapper, and there's this one song that goes, smack my ass like a drum. Like, it's just like the most ridiculous song. So people basically just like take her voice and like auto-tune it and put it over, whatever song. Yeah. So I made that like, remix of like the national anthem. And the first video got, went like semi-viral or whatever.
Yeah.
And then somebody commented that like, oh my God, I can't believe Cupcake founded the United States. And I just like had this, like, I don't know, I have lots of costumes. I used to perform a lot more, like, out in New York and on stage much more. But anyway, so I just like made that silly video using the audio that I created, and it went like massively viral.
That's so great. There's so many different TikToks. Like there's one of my favorite things is scary TikTok. Have you gone on that?
I don't like scary things, but inform me.
Okay. So most of the stuff is just like, you can't really tell if something's falling because there's like a string pulling it or because, something really happened. But every now and then it's like SNL skits. Like most of them are crap and some of them are all right. But every now and then there's this one that's like, oh my God, like this is real. And you can't tell me that's not real. We had a power outage in New York like last week or 2 weeks ago. So me and my friends were just in the living room and we're just going on scary TikTok and we're just watching this person be like, hey, I'm gonna, this is how you discipline your daughter. Be like, I told you like not to. He was about to discipline his daughter for something, and then there was someone like his daughter's on the bed like this facing the other way, and then he saw when he went in the room someone going like this, and then he's like, and then the person was just gone. And he's like, who are you talking to? And she's like, this is Wendy. This is my friend. And he was like, what? So there was no like follow-up video from that. So maybe the family's like dead or something. But yeah, it's like it's stuff like that. That is pretty dark. What are some of your other favorite TikToks outside of Cupcake?
Oh man, I feel like I have a very chronically online TikTok. Like if you really look at my feed is also like very gay.
I saw the queer ones, which I want to bring that up too, but we'll keep going.
Well, it's funny because like, you'll be hanging out with people, like I'll be hanging out with people and like reference like a TikTok audio or like something on TikTok. And like sometimes people are like, oh my God, yeah. But other times people are like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know if you're on like Negroni Spagliato with a dash of Prosecco in it TikTok.
No.
Yeah, see,
What is that?
It's like there was what is her name? The girl who's in Game of Thrones. I don't know. The two girls from Game of Thrones are like interviewing each other.
Young girl? Maisie Williams is a young one. I feel like that's the one a lot of people know.
I feel like her name is Emma. I don't know. She plays a Targaryen. And
Okay.
I haven't actually seen the House of Dragon, but either way, they're interviewing each other, and the one girl goes, "What's your drink of choice?" And the girl who actually kind of looks like me, she has like short bleach blonde hair. She goes, "A Negroni Spagliato with Prosecco in it." And like that audio went, Emma Darcy. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, it went like super viral, and especially like with gay people. I don't know why. I mean, because Emma Darcy's like gay icon.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, things like that where it's just like someone who's like not in that specific niche of TikTok like has no idea what you're talking about. And like Cupcake remix TikTok, like that's a very niche thing. Yeah.
I want to get to the biscuit in a sec. I want to get to a whole bunch of stuff in a second.
The biscuit.
There's how I found out I was autistic was because TikTok shows you things that you like, and when you like, it shows more of them. And there were like these people that a lot of people would say like they're a little curt or they're a little rude, and I would find them like, no, they're not rude. They're just explaining things as how like they see things. Like I'm like the same way. And eventually, like a month in, like every day, all the people that I was following were people saying, yeah, this is how I knew I was autistic. And after like 3 or 4 of them, I'm like, wait a minute. And then I took all like the tests, and it ranged from like mildly to severely. There was no test that I took that was like, yeah, you're normal. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't talk about it much on TikTok because I feel like it's kind of a little bit like, I don't want to say sensationalized, but I'm definitely on Tism Talk. However, I found out I got like double whammy back in 2021. I was diagnosed with MS, and then they did some brain scans as well. And then I had to see a neuropsychologist who was like, yeah, there's some stuff going on. And like had me answer a bunch of, I was doing the DSM like criteria.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, you're on the autism spectrum. And I was like, okay, well, that explains like a lot of my childhood. And it was a shock, but also like, I don't know, I felt like a sense of relief. Like I actually finally had an explanation, you know?
Yeah, so you like took the high road saying that you don't like exploiters. Do you talk about it on like social media? Like that next day, I was like calling people like retarded, and like I did not take the high road like at all because I felt like I could say it now at that point. Anyway, getting to the biscuit. Tell us about the biscuit.
uh Taste the biscuit. Taste the goodness of the biscuit. I don't know. It was just
Is that ASMR? Like,
yeah. I don't know. I mean, it just started popping up on my timeline with that like Chrome lady filter. And I was there from, I don't know. I feel like TikTok.
I did see that one with you. Your whole body was chrome, but your face was like photoshopped on, right?
Yeah. And I feel like TikTok does this thing where like it'll show me trends at like the very beginning. I don't know, because it knows, I don't know, it like understands my brain, which is weird. But so yeah, I jumped on like Chrome Lady Biscuit TikTok, and then I found out that the audio was from this like movie back in like the early mid 2000s. But yeah, it's oh my god. The movie is called Chickens in the Shadows. It's on YouTube. It's very, very dry comedy. I feel like especially like anyone who has
I
like the
saw that. I took
yeah, anyone who definitely has like a sort of like tism sense of humor would definitely appreciate them. It's so good. It's just really dry. And I don't have you ever watched Tim and Eric?
Is is that the one where one person's a robot and the other is like a student?
No, it's a variety
Yeah,
show that was on Adult Swim like
never mind.
a while
Okay.
ago. But anyway, it's hilarious. And the director, I actually became friends with the director via TikTok. And the two people who like star in the movie, because they saw like I had one TikTok blow up where I was talking about the movie. But it's so good. It's like a national treasure. Highly, highly recommend Chickens in the Shadows.
I will take a look. Something else that I have taken a look at before, unbeknownst to me, I was dating this girl, Danielle, up until last year, and she was very much into like the rave scene and also like the queer scene. I went to two very gay parties with her. One was a bike ride, and so like I don't know how to ride a bike because I whatever happened, like my motor skills will refuse to let me skateboard and paddleboard and ride. I don't know why. Anyway, we go like, do you want to go on this bike ride? And I couldn't tell her that I did. It's like, yeah, sure. Hopefully it would like rain or something would come up. And then I was like, I don't even know if I ever told her because I told her like I took acid that day. And then I was like, oh, I can't ride a bike. I'm on acid. So I don't know if I ever told her. But it was so it's like, oh, it's okay. There's a bus that follows this bike ride all around Manhattan, all around like Brooklyn or wherever. I was like, okay. So I took the bus and everyone was boinking everyone on this bus. And I'm on acid. I was like, oh, what I did, and there was like drugs. And I was like, you want some coke? And this dude was like, had a raging, you know what? And I was like, I'm okay. I don't. And and then the other place that I had gone with her was this rave in like Brooklyn. It was you had to go into this like speakeasy, up the stairs through this bar, down the stairs past this like dumpster, and then there was a whole bunch of like and it's exactly what you mentioned in your TikTok of like like the it was like the worst music I've ever heard. Can you tell me your experiences about going to gay and queer raves? And was it things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I lived in New York for a while. And I used to I mean, I used to throw parties when I lived in New York and when I lived in Philadelphia. Um I don't know, I the scene in New York is fun. There's definitely like a wider variety of like different kinds of music. Um And like, if there's one thing I miss about New York, it's like, it's that being able to be like, you know what, I want to go listen to like some amazing house music. I want to be like on a rooftop somewhere. And like, this is the experience that I want. Like, let me go find it because like it exists. But yeah, I don't know. I just always, and my music taste, especially when it comes to electronic music, is like a bit off the beaten path. Like I love techno. I love ghetto tech. I love house music. I mean, everyone loves house music
Any
nowadays.
bass hunter?
Bass Hunter?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm more like, I don't know. Do you listen to like ASYS
I don't
or
think so.
um
You said obscure. I don't know the
yeah.
names of any of these people, but there's one, or there's a couple of songs. One I've heard like at the gym, and it was something about like a rubber duck. I know, Barbara Streisand.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it was that. Yeah, yeah. And the other had something to do with a washing machine. Say like, my washing machine doesn't work. Why did you fuck my washing machine? And the lyrics didn't make sense, but it slapped so hard. Sorry, keep going.
No, yeah. I mean, how about drum and bass? Love drum and bass. And drum and bass I feel like is having like a resurgence right now with like Pink Panthers, who I love. I don't know, it seems to be like really popular, especially like with younger people. Which is funny because I feel like when I first started like making like starting to take music seriously, back in like 2011, I was really into house music, but like house music wasn't really like cool quite yet. It was all, you know, like dance music and or when I say dance music, I mean mainstream dance music, like, you know, Lady Gaga and things like that.
Yeah.
But you know, and dubstep was like big. And drum and bass like was like not cool, like officially just like not cool anymore, at least like in terms of like, you know, mainstream and like things coming up. Um, and like now drum and bass is like the things have come full circle. But I forget what the original question was. I don't know.
I think I forget. I think your experiences at gay and queer clubs
Yeah,
and
I mean, I
the
don't know.
music.
It's just a place to like, for me, it's always just like been a place to like listen to different music and like, you know, meet people who are like into the same sorts of like weird stuff that I am. Because and it's a shame because I feel like a lot of those like sort of like alternative spaces and like, you know, warehouse parties and things like that, like there aren't as many of them as there used to be. But you know, there's still a culture around like techno music, obviously. You know, techno is still like very big, especially in Brooklyn. Um, and like there are spaces to like seek out that like alternative stuff. I don't know. When I go to a club, like, yeah, I want to like listen to Nicki Minaj sometimes, but like I also want to hear like a really dirty bass line and like, you know, just kind of like thrash around.
What was it? It didn't have to be at a gay or queer club. What was your best time at like a show, at any type of like a Warped Tour or like a festival, or even just seeing a band? This looks like a good story. Okay.
You're gonna laugh at me because this is like probably not the answer that you would expect. Um, so in I want to say it was summer 2019,
Good
I
year.
think, or maybe it was 2018. I can't remember. But I went to go see Weird Al perform with the Queens County Orchestra in Queens. It was like a million degrees out. I think it was in August and it was an outdoor venue. But I can honestly say like that was like the best like performance I have seen from an artist. He is just like has so much energy and is like incredible and was so engaged with the audience and like with the orchestra and everything. It was just like such an incredible performance. And like like I've seen a lot of live shows and a lot of really awesome live shows, but like that was like very, very high up there. And perhaps the other one that like really, really sticks out to me, I went to go see Peaches, I think in like 2011. And that was like a life-changing show. it was the gayest thing I had ever seen on stage. And she like, you know, there's like these like hairy women that come out with like masks on and like they have like their boobs out and they're just like dancing around on stage, and then she's like spitting blood into the crowd. It was just, it was incredible.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there. Okay, so there's a lot. I love Weird Al. Weird Al's great. Loved him for. I didn't see the movie with Daniel Radcliffe. Did you
It's
see
so
that?
good.
Oh,
It's
it's okay.
so good. You
Good,
have
good,
to
good, good,
see
good.
it.
Okay, that makes me excited. All
I'm
right,
not going to say anything
something.
because I don't want to ruin any single part of it, but I literally just watched it like a couple weeks ago, and I want to watch it again. It was
Oh,
that good.
something else to watch. I'm trying to figure out how to. You can go live on YouTube while watching a movie, and they'll let you do it. You just have to purchase it, and everyone that's watching has to purchase it. It's like a watch along. So I want to try to figure out how to do that with the subscribers. That'll be fun. And then he's all right. So that was really good. He's a really good live performer. Peaches, I'm not really familiar with. Uh, Two of my best times, I think, were in it was like 2018 yeah, 2018. Lindsey Sterling and Evanescence was playing in Long Island, and yeah, that was great. Me and my friend went. We took some LSD before, and it started raining. It was so good. I love them both. The other time was
Movie
in
is very fun.
yeah, I love her. She's bad. Um, the other time was in 2019. It was Halloween 2019. Simple Plan was playing in Long Island, and uh, in like the middle of their set, there's like, "Hey guys, thanks for coming out. We love y'all. I hope you like this next one. It's a throwback." And they started playing "What's New, Scooby Doo" from, and I lost my mind. I was like, "Ah." It's beautiful. Yeah. So those are
I
good.
can't wait to I keep telling myself like, you know, once I'm like back on my feet and I can be out in the world, I cannot wait to go to a show again and like see some live music and like dance.
What was the last time you were at a show?
I mean, a show or like an event. Cause like, you
I
know, I
guess
would go out
either
in
or,
Brooklyn.
whatever's most recent.
I don't know, I remember like so right before the pandemic, I was, you know, I was living in New York and I was like going to, you know, go dance and see DJs like every weekend. Um, and I can't remember the name of the club and I don't even know if it's still there. The guy from LCD Sound System owns the club and they would just have like incredible music. It was one of those sorts of things where you like sort of had to know the guy to get in, know the door guy to get in.
Yeah.
And they had like a light up dance floor and I love dancing, and that's like one of the things that like right before I got stem cells, I was my body just hurt so much that I couldn't dance, and that was
Oh,
like yeah, and like it just was like crushing my soul. But now I can dance. You know, I'm not like totally at 100 yet, but I can dance without being in pain. But like that's the thing that I miss the most. I miss like being on the dance floor and just like just house music, you know, 125 BPM, just like
you said you went to the same dance school as Pink. How long did you dance for?
oh, I mean, I've never been like you know, when I was in my 20s, I would do like go-go dancing at I don't know if you know the party Trash that used to happen at Webster Hall. I'm really dating myself. This is a long time ago, but I don't know. I mean, I've always like performed and like been in theater and like that sort of thing. But I don't know. I took dance lessons when I was like a kid,
Yeah.
you know?
My approach to dancing was much different. I was doorman at this place called Leaky Lifeboat, somewhere in Wantagh on Long Island, and my friend who got me the job was like, "Hey, they're looking for a doorman at this place called Lake Cafe. Do you want to?" I was like, "Okay, sure." And then I knew it was a strip club, and I was like, "Okay, you know, that's fine." And they like a few weeks after me being doorman there, like, "Hey, Monday night's going to be ladies' night. Do you want to dance?" And I was like, "Okay." So I did, and the first night, they hand me like an outfit, and it was assless chaps, and I have a hairy butt, so I had to, so I had to have this guy Mike. I was like, Mike, And I'm like shaking with my razor, like, can you shave me? And he's like, yeah, man, we could shave you. And like, I will forever love that man because he shaved he shaved my butt that first night, and that was a good time. So I did that first summer.
But did you clean up the floor? Did you like make that money?
Uh, so there was a couple of times that were really memorable. So what
Oh,
part
you
of the
did
reason
this
why?
multiple times.
Oh yeah, no, it was like for summer. Um, part of the reason I really love Lady Gaga is because Alejandro was one of the songs that women just like love, and just
Yeah.
that, and I learned the dance for Bad Romance. So like I could actually
Yes.
do yeah, I could actually do the whole thing. And I don't know if I remember all of it now, but that's the one that women just went nuts for. And the Sick
That's
Clean Up the
incredible.
Floor.
You have gained a new level of respect for me.
Good. That's a master plan is working. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. I never really had like, I don't know. I was just kind of like myself. The alter egos were on different things from like PI stuff, but you have an alter ego too. Like you have this whole brunette wig, and tell us a little about that. Like, do you call yourself something else? Do you act differently? Do you become like like Jim Carrey in The Mask, and you just act like completely different? Tell us about it.
Well, I feel like once, like, if I put like a wig on, no matter what the wig is, it like automatically kind of like changes, doesn't change like who I am, who Reena is, but like, it's going to change like the way I act. But yeah, basically, I mean, when I was like, I know I keep referencing like when I was really sick, but there was like a really huge thing in my life that just like completely uprooted everything. It's like I had the rug pulled from underneath me. I lost my apartment. Um, I lost like the relationship that I was in, like everything in my life, like my bank account, like everything, just like rug pulled, and especially like my health. So in an effort to like cope, um, I just kind of started. I mean, have always written music, but I started revisiting this project that I had kind of shelved a while back, and just like putting on wigs and like dressing up and like trying to make myself feel better, trying to escape the reality that I was in. And out of that came this alter ego that is now kind of it's the persona under which I release music, named Christine Machine. Um, and the whole idea behind it being like, all right, I can like escape into my little fantasy world and not be sick anymore.
Hmm.
So that's kind of how that came about. And now it's kind of developed into this like sort of like super villain sort
Okay.
of character, that, and one of my last posts that on TikTok was about like Batman and the Joker, and you know the thing I love about like the Batman franchise is that like all of the villains have like a story, they have like a reason, right, to like do
Yeah.
what they do. um and that's like kind of the story behind this character that I'm building with the alter ego is, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to like say too much, but like all of the songs are about like very much about like my life and my journey and like the things that I've been through and the things that have, sort of uh had potential to create like a calloused person, but didn't succeed because I don't want to be a calloused person. I don't want to. Uh,
You yourself don't want to, or this character that you're making, you want
Both.
this character. Okay.
I don't want to be, a bitter, calloused person who has become hard because of, the things that I've dealt with in life. From, being sick to being fucked over to being, signed into like music contracts that I had to get out of, to like all these different things. So anyway, that's the story behind Christine Machine.
Okay. So Christine Machine is not necessarily wanting for like the riches of the world. Christine is just wanting things to like be fair and to have be like at zero. Or is she like the villain that's like, hey, I got fucked over when I was younger. Now I want everything.
Definitely the former, not the latter.
Okay. So wanting things to be kind of reset. So is that why you kind of made the TikTok with uh the Joker movie where you were talking about how, hey, this is how people fall through the cracks, and do you just want to bring attention to that with your character?
No, I wasn't even really thinking about it in terms of that. And maybe it was like this sort of thing of like, life imitates art. But
Hmm.
I was just like laying in bed thinking about I think like something, about the movie came up on my timeline. And I was just thinking about it because I remember I had waited a while to watch the movie because I had seen all of the like everything that everyone was talking about, like, oh, this is a dangerous movie, this is for incels, and like blah 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 blah. And I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I won't watch it. And then um, a couple years after it came out, I was like, you know what? Let me watch this movie because like I really do love the Batman franchise. And I watched it and I was like, that is not at all what any of these people were saying. And it's like having your health benefits cut off. Um, like I said, like that's like one of the first scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
That has happened to me, as a chronically ill person. And when it happens, it's like, what am I gonna do? I can't afford, when I had to pay for that test that I said was like $1,000 out of pocket,
Yeah.
I basically just like swiped my credit card and like prayed. Like,
Ooh.
I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna pay for this, but like I know I need it. And like thank God I have the credit to be able to do that. But like if I you know what I mean? Anyway. So I was just thinking about the movie and how it was like grossly misinterpreted. And there are problematic things about the movie. I will say that, the way that it was received and people were like glorifying this person who's, going around and killing people. But somebody had commented on that TikTok and was like, yeah, but remember when he was, I think he was like in his apartment and like those two guys from his work or three guys, however many it was, came over and like he killed two of
So,
them.
but yeah, and then one he will
But
let
he,
one just go.
he spared the other one. He's like, you were always nice to me. And I was like, yeah, like he didn't just like randomly like open fire. And
Yeah.
obviously I'm not like defending like this man who's like killing people, but I think like from the point of view of like film analysis, I think that's like a really important like part of the film in terms of like his character. So I don't know. Maybe I'll get
Yeah.
canceled for saying this stuff, but I don't really give a shit.
Yeah, I think a lot of people really sympathize with him because like there's whether you're in like high school or you deal with people like in at your job or just in general, there are always going to be a-holes. And there are always going to be those that just, abuse their power. And like anyone, even like anyone that's watched like the Harry Potter series, like when you look at Dolores Umbridge, tell me you don't want to shoot her. Like tell me you don't want to Avada Kedavra her ass. By the way, did you get the new Harry Potter game?
No, I so
Oh yeah,
I
so you don't have the systems right now.
no, I don't. I am I don't know. J.K. Rowling is very uh
Hot topic.
vocal
So
about her anti-trans stuff. So I don't really like participate in the Harry Potter universe, which is unfortunate because like I loved it as a kid. So
yeah, if there was ever some type of like takeover where she sells the rights and stuff, would you ever? Would you then get back in? Be like, okay, J.K. Rowling time.
immediately.
Also, I don't think she. I don't. I know she has influence over like the movies. I don't think she has influence over the. I mean, she might, but I think that might be a loophole. Like, well, she has influence over the movies, but not the games. Maybe that's like your loophole.
I really don't know. I mean, I don't know. My whole philosophy with it is like as long as she's like living and like, trying to and putting money, funneling money into like the anti-trans agenda, I don't want to like financially support her. And I'm not judging, of course
But
there are people who love Harry Potter who like really want to play the game. I'm not judging anyone who does that. I just, I'm just like, not on my radar.
I know there. So I don't. Again, I don't really follow her like too closely. I know that there is a trans kid or trans person in the game. Do you think that because of the backlash she had received, that maybe she's trying to swing the pendulum the other way, or do you think like that's just for show? That's just so that nobody like harps on her.
I really have no idea because I know that like Disney owns the Harry Potter franchise now, right?
WB owns the movie.
I
I know W.
have no idea, and like maybe it's possible that like she has nothing to do with this game. I just have kind of like once that news came out, and maybe I'm the one who's uninformed. I don't know. Like once that news came out, it was just like, okay, I'm just like not gonna participate in Harry Potter. But maybe I've been needlessly denying myself.
I mean, so I don't know if it's so hard because I feel like you have to go through every single thing and then kind of read in between the lines because they'll
Yeah.
be like the far right be like no, like they'll take one thing out of context that benefits their view. Far left will take one thing out of context that benefits their view. So from what I had understood, it was that, and I didn't know anything about her funding things. I just I saw a tweet that had said something about uh like men can't get periods, and it was part of a larger tweet, but that's the part like I remember, like the men can't get periods thing, and that was really interpreted as like, okay, well, I don't know, her being a bigot or something like that, and I just the way it just seemed that it was like not meant to be. It didn't mean to be as like hateful as it was, but it just got interpreted at that. I also am biased because I love Harry Potter, and maybe I'm just kind of giving her the like, it's fine, and maybe I shouldn't. I don't know.
No,
Like
I
I
get
don't
it.
know about that.
I love Harry Potter too. And like from what I understand, I just know that like there have been like trans people in my life who had Harry Potter tattoos who like literally like had them like covered up.
Remove. Oh,
And I think I like saw something recently where it was like she was like donating to an organization that like advocate that was like very anti-trans. Um and so that's why I was just like, all right, I don't like actively participate in the Harry Potter like universe on a
yeah.
daily basis. So I'm just like not gonna do that. But yeah, I don't know like what the current like who owns the IP and if she's getting paid out and like whatever. I mean,
I don't
she's
know.
already made like tons of money.
Yeah,
Um
she made like billions off that. I think she's actually off the billionaire list now because like you said, she was putting money into other things. So like it's um so I don't think she's a billionaire anymore. I know WB owns one of the rights of something, and then Universal owns one of the rights of the others because Harry Potter World is in Universal. Um, yeah, it's a bit like the Rick and Morty news. I
yeah,
hate.
I know cuz man, I fucking love that show. And, like,
I
I'm glad I like, it's kind of fucked up to say this, but I'm glad I got to enjoy it, like, for the amount of time that I did.
yeah.
And, like, now I can just be like, "Okay, that chapter is closed, can't watch that show anymore." I don't know.
Well, they did
It's
get
fucked
rid
up.
of the guy that voiced them, so
But he's, like,
like
every character, right?
he was like half the characters at least. He was Rick and Morty, and he was like a couple. He was like Bird Person. He was a bunch of others.
Yeah.
So I tagged Adult Swim in a couple of things where I tried out my I had like a chance like, hey guys, this is like my tryout, and I did like a Rick and Morty like thing. I was like, please cast me. They didn't answer, but I'm hopeful. Hold on, maybe someone shares it to them. Like, yeah, this kid's good. Like, oh, okay, cool, maybe. But I would have I don't know, like with your would you take a would you take a job like that? Like if I don't think he voiced any women or any effeminate characters. Would you take a job doing one type of character or a voiceover for Rick and Morty?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, why not? I don't if that's actually something that, like, voice acting is something that I have been looking into because, like, I literally have, like, a whole recording suite here. You can't really see it because it's on this side of the room.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, that's, like, what I do. I've, like, recorded plenty of voiceovers and things like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I can see the comment.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
oh, yeah. Um, but yeah, no, voice acting sounds fun. You just have to like put together a reel and like find an agent and like do that whole thing. It's a whole different like niche in,
Yeah.
the entertainment industry.
I maybe one day. So as we are going over like your alter ego, it reminded me of part of a song from. You ever watch Victorious? It was on
Mm.
Nickelodeon in like 2009 to 2011. Um, anyway, it was one of the songs in there. Uh, it goes, "All I want is everything. Yes, everything. Too much is not enough. I'm sick of settling for in between, and I'm not giving up. As long as it feels right, at least we know that we're alive. All I want is everything. Do you think that when you were younger, that if you were to move to LA, like in your early 20s, if you were to move to like Hollywood, do you think that you would have signed with some of these labels and you would have signed with some of these things because you said like, oh, hey, this is money, and I deserve it because I'm talented, and then now you're not doing it because as you got older, you got a little wiser, thinking like, okay, money won't necessarily buy happiness, and you just view the world differently, or is that just am I just really going too deep into a song that it really has
No, I
nothing to
mean,
do?
you know, I definitely have a better perspective of how the industry works now. And I think had I moved to LA when I was younger, I probably, had I been offered some sort of deal, I probably would have signed it.
Hmm.
But now that I know myself better, and I also know like what I want, in terms of, a lifestyle and a career and all of this different stuff. Um, it's just different, than, maybe what I would have wanted in my 20s. Um, and I don't know, I think LA would have shaped me a lot differently than New York did. Uh, I probably would have had more opportunities like as a songwriter, but would that have how much would that have benefited? Shoulda, woulda, coulda, who knows?
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, like I said, my goal is not to like become, like a super famous musician. I'd like my music to be successful, but I'm not trying to like my goal is not to like win a Grammy or hit the Billboard Top 100. I just want to like connect with people and make a living, you know, um, on whatever scale that happens. Um, and I think I
Before,
used to see the like corporate, because it's like the corporate music industry is really it's really cutthroat, and it's no different from any other like corporate. Still not gonna young enough to do anything. Yeah, maybe I look young, but
you look younger than me. I understand. I look like I'm 45, so it's not really, but you do still look quite young.
yeah, well, I'm in my mid-30s. I don't know if anyone watching this knows that or knew that. I don't really talk about my age much. Uh, but yeah, I forget where I was going with all that.
That's fair.
But oh yeah,
Sometimes the brain sleeps.
the corporate music industry, it's really cutthroat, and it like people look at record labels like it's this like sugar daddy that's gonna like give you money and you're gonna be able to make your art, and like it just doesn't really work like that. Signing to a label is not like you've made it, like at all. Especially these days, because like development deals and all these things are changing so much. The industry has changed so much. So I don't know. I see my success through a very different lens now.
Yeah, I read that TLC back in the day when they were very
We got
huge.
screwed over.
They made, I think, like each they made like $60,000 a year each from that record, and I was like, what?
And it made millions for the
Yeah,
record label.
they got hecked so hard.
Yeah.
Uh, Bad times for them. Good for the label, but yeah, really bad times for them.
Yeah.
Uh, so as you have gotten there, you mentioned before that when you had like these diagnoses and you really got sick, your bank account got rubbed, like your love life got rubbed, like a lot of things got rubbed. As you've grown in like TikTok fame and other types of fame, has how has your approach to love been the last year? Or have you decided, hey, I don't want to attempt to try this game again until I'm 100% better and I can move on the dance floor.
To love,
Mhm.
like in terms of like romantic relationship, yeah, no, I mean it hasn't even been on my radar. It's not something I really think about.
No.
um, just because like I have only enough space to like take care of myself right now. And, maybe some people would like consider that to be selfish, but like I'm sick, and even though I'm doing a lot better, like I'm still sick. Um, and in a way, like taking the time to like really focus on myself has been like truly a blessing.
Yeah.
Because like I've learned so much about myself, and I take better care of myself now than I ever have. Um, So yeah, I mean, it's not really something that I mean, maybe one day, I'm sure I'll like start dating again at some point, but
No.
not really, not really like an important part of the picture right now. I'm more interested in like finding a doctor who I really like.
Okay, that's fair. The so has your views changed on that over the last 10 years before you got like pre-sickness and now like kind of post-sickness?
What do you mean on like dating?
Yeah, dating, love, the things that love takes you away from, the things that love gives you, that type of deal.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've dated a lot in my life. I've had like several like long-term relationships. Um, but I don't know, it's never been like the main like focus of my life. Like I've known since I was 12 that like I don't want to have children. I've never like dreamed of like getting married or any of that. Like some people like they're like, "Oh, I want like a big wedding and I want to wear this kind of dress." And like I've never had like dreams like that of, that's like the ultimate thing.
Yeah.
Um but partnership is a beautiful thing, and I've definitely had partnerships with people that have been like really beautiful and mutually beneficial, where we support each other and take care of each other. I don't know. I think in terms of like love, it's for me it's like so much more than just like romantic love. I think romantic love is like, I don't want to sound bitter, but like I think romantic love is like kind of a scam, because like my relationships can be so much deeper if I look beyond that, and just like actually have like intimate connection with people where I can, have deep conversations, whether it's like with a friend or like a lover or whatever. And
So you think like the Black Widow, like have you seen Avengers?
yes, yes.
Where she's talking to Loki and she says, "Love is for children. I simply owe him a debt," talking about Hawkeye. Is that kind of what you think? Be like, yeah, I mean that's kind of how I view it too. I think that love is a drug, and it will make you do things that you wouldn't normally do, and not all of it is good. In fact, I think most of it is probably bad.
Yeah. It depends on how you define love though, because like I do kind of feel that way, and I think a lot of people um can confuse love with lust or longing or
Infatuation.
validation
Yeah.
or all of these different things. Because when I think about like who do I love in my life right now, like I love my best friend who I live with, and like she's like a rock for me, and like we have like a really long friendship and we shared experiences, and we care about each other, we care for each other. And I love my other friend, one of my other friends who I make music with, where we like really connect creatively and we have so much in common, and again we like really support each other, and like that's how love shows up in my life right now. um and like yeah, love can take a lot of different forms, but like to me like that's like the most pure. Do I want to have sex with either one of those people? No. But
You're not your type.
and like maybe someday somebody will come along who I can have that connection with and also be attracted to them. But anyway, I'm going off onto a tangent. Yeah, I think that
No,
like
that's fine. Go.
we perceive a lot of like emotions that are not, I don't want to say pure, but are just like I said, like validation or um continuing karmic cycles that we're in psychologically. We perceive a lot of those things as love, when to me, from my vantage point now, like I wouldn't consider it that. I've definitely had relationships like that where it's it felt like love at the time, but now I look back on it, I'm like,
I kind of take a fairly similar approach now because I'm kind of like, or I am an addict. I very much love alcohol. I would never like ride that white horse, doing coke because I know that would destroy my life. But that being said, like I am, when something's really fun and something's really good and it's like amazing feeling, like that feeling of love is unlike most other experiences, and there's very few things that can top that. But I will also recognize that it will make you do crazy things, and I try to distance myself from it as much as I can now. I don't think I would. I don't. I don't think I'd ever be in a relationship again because of that. Because of like, I also don't like heartbreak. Like, I think I don't deal with death and breakups. Those are like the worst two things that I deal with. It's like I deal with it in a non-healthy way. But the I forget where I was going with this. Um, but the yeah, I was just oh yeah. So you mentioned that the two people that you do love right now, like people that you live with, the person that you make music with, that you wouldn't want to get into bed with. What is your type? What is the type that you would like? And by all means, anytime you don't have to answer any of these. You'd be like, Chavez, this is a little too
Yeah.
personal. You can.
I don't really know. I don't really have like a type.
So like
Um,
sapiosexual, or was that pansexual, or is just like whoever you like, and it's different
yeah,
with each
I
person.
like make jokes online about I don't know, like being gay and all these different things, but I also like don't really like to like categorize or, this is the anarchist in me again, just saying like, you never I don't believe in like categorizing anything. Even though I tend to be attracted to XYZ, that doesn't mean I'm not going to be attracted to other XYZ in the future.
Yeah,
Um, so I don't know. I guess that's how I answer that question.
I understand. I understand that a lot. Um, I I don't know. I happen to like older Caucasian women, like and like in the last 13 years of my life, I've only been with two girls in their 20s. The rest have been 30s, 40s, and 50s. And but like, is that to say? And they have most of them happen to be white. Is that to say that I wouldn't like a younger Spanish girl? No, that'd be fine. Just I don't know, it's kind of whatever. By the way, speaking of which, how do you feel? This is a really hot topic. How do you feel about? I think like obviously I don't care about age because I was like 19 dating like a 46-year-old. On the opposite end of that, you have like a 40-something-year-old Leo dating a 19-year-old model. What are your feelings on that? Do you believe that love is just love and it doesn't really matter as long as they're two consenting adults? Or do you believe like Leo, there's people that have types and your type is a little creepy?
This is a very hot topic and one that like Emrata talked to I can't remember her name, this girl on her podcast recently about. I just think that like, when it comes to that, like there's definitely power dynamics where the older person like has more life experience and it's just there's a power dynamic. That person has more power in the relationship and they probably also have more money. Um and so I mean, I'm not going to comment on like anyone specifically, but I just don't. There's always things that come into question with that. Why are you a 50-some-year-old man dating a woman who is 30 years younger than you? You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, and what can you possibly learn or from this 20-year-old person? I don't know. It's the power dynamic really is what it is for me.
Yeah.
Because I know like myself, like at my age, like even if I were to try to date someone who's like 21 years old now, um, I would have nothing in common with them. Maybe I could get along with them as a friend, but like in terms of like an intimate partnership, like uh, it would be odd. So I don't know. That's my own
Yeah,
personal
part of the reason me and my last girlfriend broke up, I'm 32, she's 48, was because or I think I was 31 at the time. Now that changes a whole bunch. It's just we didn't have a ton in common. But I will say that there's when we talk about like what can you learn from like someone that's like that young, I'll push back on that because I like um I don't know, like kids like keep you young. Like they're fun. Like I go to the gym I go to, like if I go there in like the afternoon, there's like kids that are coming from school there, and because we're always talking about like weightlifting or whatever, we're talking about gaming, like I get to see, we get to see things at two different perspectives, and I get to look at it like kind of through there, and they're also really fun, and they're also like So I mean, that just happens to be like the kids I go to the gym with, and obviously they're male, so I'm not trying to do them at all. So it's a little different there, but
Yeah, I was
it's
gonna say, like, and then with like friendship, it's different. You can have like friendships with people who are much younger. I don't know. I mean, I just think that, like, when it comes to like partnership, you want to be able to see like eye to eye with someone, at least I do. So yeah, I
yeah.
mean, and maybe some people don't, but I just often think that, I don't know, I don't want to talk too much about it, but
Okay.
um, especially in the case of like much older man dating much younger woman. Um,
Yeah, it's a little creepier when it's a guy. When it's
it's
like yeah.
Yeah, it just feels like I said, the power dynamic is
There,
strange.
there, there's this guy in the community called Taps Trades, and I love him. We always room together whenever we go to these cons, like a designer con or whatever, and or Comic Con. And he's the one I told you about with the Taylor Swift future ex boyfriend. Um,
Yeah, Swiftie.
yeah,
I'm just to be clear, everyone, we were talking about Swifties before. I'm not like a super Swiftie, but I like Taylor Swift's music. So
I love her. Yeah, she can do no wrong. I mean that's so dangerous to say. Like, have you do you have any like super fans that just like love everything you do? That are just like, oh my gosh, yeah, Slay Queen, like Preach Girl. Uh,
I do. Actually, I'm sorry. Can I pause for like 1 second? I just have to use the bathroom.
yeah, go, go, go. I'll
Okay,
keep the
let me.
comments. I'll keep up with the comments while you do the thing. Okay. All right. So she began. All right. We have some stuff to go over. Yes, there was a little bit of a dip, Bill Gardner. There was so Bitcoin was up. I think like 40% over in the month of January, rolling over into February, month over month. But then you had it's really interesting is that Bitcoin and Ethereum are both down over 4% today. OMI has dropped, obviously, with the markets, OMI kind of followed, and it had dropped a little bit more. It had dropped a little bit over 5%. So I did buy a little more Bitcoin today. I bought about an extra $300 worth of Bitcoin. I might convert some of that to OMI because, again, if I had both of them up here and Bitcoin only dropped 4% and OMI dropped 5%, okay, well, I would dollar cost average into the thing that dropped more because I already thought it had a better ROI. So I think that's what I might do. I haven't yet. I just kept the Bitcoin balance around 2K. Hey, what's going on? Yeah, Plum, dude, Plum Island is such a weird thing. I think there was a show like 10 years ago, might have been more, might have been less, called like Jesse Ventura Questions Everything. So Jesse Ventura he was in the military. There's like questions or not whether he was a SEAL, whether because like he had gone through SEAL training, he had gone through a bunch of things. I don't know if he was ever active as a Navy SEAL. But then he had a show, like he was governor, he was in WWE for a while, he was an actor, he was governor, and he made this show called like Jesse Ventura Questions Everything or something like that, or Conspiracy Theory with Jesse Ventura. And Plum Island was one of the episodes, and it was really cool. It was really dope. What up, Dean Malden? I hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing good, fam. VV Wheels. What up? What up, Wes? Yep. Good evening. Um, yeah. So this is yeah. It's great to interview people from the TikTok community that are like very similar interests, but are just um, but just are successful on another platform, which is dope. Thank you, Adam Awesome Space, over the super chat. Blah, blah, blah. I love yes. Get
Okay,
back.
I'm
Okay.
back. Sorry, I'm just
I
like here, like chugging water the entire interview.
gotta stay hydrated. Do you go on Reddit at all?
So I feel like whenever I go on Reddit, it's to like see if like anyone else has like asked the question that I'm about to ask. Like I'm sort of on Reddit, but like not like, as much as I am on TikTok or any of the other social media platforms.
I did that yesterday with Twitter because Twitter was down, and I went on Reddit. It's like okay, Reddit, Twitter, and then everyone was posting about it. And finally, I found a thread where people were and I finally found the answer. It was a back end thing. I think it's fixed now. I was able to post before. But I was asked that because there's a subreddit called Hydro Homies where they hate every other liquid aside from water, and they're just posting they're just posting about drinking water, and it's so ridiculous, but it's so fun. It's such a Such an interesting thing to be a part of. What is the most ridiculous community that you think you've ever been a part of?
Well, I've been on the internet for a long time. From like Neopets to LiveJournal to like I'm trying to think. So I've been a part of a lot of really weird, bizarre communities. Fartcoin definitely like ranks towards the top. People getting
I,
excited about farts. And I'm trying to think of like some of the weird, because like I don't know if you remember, you could join like clubs on Neopets. It was definitely part of like some like very weird clubs.
what were some of the weird clubs? I remember being on it, and it had a resurgence recently. I'll go over that in a minute, but tell me about the weird clubs.
I don't know. I remember at one point I was like part of like there was like the Justin Guarini fan club. He was like a random contestant on American Idol. Do you remember
Yeah, he was
Justin
like the
Guarini?
runner-up in season one. I don't know why I know that. Anyway, yeah.
So I was like on the committee for the Justin Guarini fan club. Um,
You were a fanboy of Justin Gore. That's amazing.
I guess. Well, he actually he another person who grew up in like Philadelphia area. So I was like, oh, like, whatever. But yeah, definitely, and definitely Fartcoin. Also, just because I've met so many different people, like different walks of life, and like different very interesting like skill sets through Fartcoin, and people who like Brock and other just like really knowledgeable people and really intelligent people, who aren't necessarily like working on Fartcoin, but who I've forged friendships with and have taught me a lot of things. So
So it's just like you triggered like a core memory. Um, this is a very, very NSFW story. It's very, very dirty. We don't have to. It involves Justin Guarini, kind of. Do you want to hear it, or should we move on to
I
something?
feel like now, like with the lead up, like, I have to hear it.
Okay, so American Idol came out in like what, like '01 or '02 or something
Yeah,
like that. So I had like dial-up internet until I was in like high school. My friend Justin had like the good internet, the fast internet. It was amazing, and I I didn't really have access to porn at my dial-up internet house. So my first time with a girl, I didn't know that the whenever like I feel like whenever kids like middle school whatever they just talk about banging they don't go thrusting forward. So I thought the vagina was like a couple inches below like the belly button, and I'm like trying to feel, and like I was like, oh, I didn't realize it was this far down. That was a side story. Sorry. All right, back to the main question. um I get to my I get to my friend Justin's house, and he's like, do you want to see like Hillary Duff naked? Or and granted, she was younger, but I was also like 12 at the time, so it was okay because she was young. But anyway, I was like, okay, yeah. So I didn't know what like Photoshop was, and I guess neither did he. And we're seeing like these naked bodies with like Faith Hill and Celine Dion and Britney Spears, like their face photoshopped on these, naked bodies. And one of them was Justin Guarini, who was packing this like super long sausage.
such
And I
a
was like,
random celebrity for somebody to do that to. Oh my god, that's messed up.
yeah, well, it was during the American Idol hype. So
Yeah.
that's what, yeah. So that was, I'm going to lose subscribers. That was the Justin Guarini story or I saw turned out not to be his thing, but I thought it was. And up until like years later, I was like, oh yeah, I thought I saw Justin Guarini thing, and then I found out what Photoshop was. And then anyway, weird communities. Have you ever gone on 4chan? Sorry, I'll just roll into the transition.
Oh my god.
Have you ever gone on 4chan? Have you, like you said, you've been on the internet a while.
Okay, so like I remember before, like before 4chan became like what it's known for. But this was like I don't even know what year. Um I can't even remember exactly like in the timelines because it used to just be like geeks talking about stuff, and then it like very quickly became like a form for like, you know,
Incels and
incels and like, yeah, people who a lot of like really crazy shit. So
yeah.
I wasn't really like involved in 4chan. I was like aware of it. Um, but I didn't like participate. And then when it like kind of like resurfaced, I was like, holy shit, like that's not the 4chan that I remember.
I went on when I was younger, and that was hysterical because it's like the things that shouldn't be joked about. Excuse me, are joked about. Um, and then there was this one thing that happened in 2016 where uh, ISIS had released a new training video that all of us in the military got like an email about, like, hey, be on the lookout, like new ISIS recruiting video. And like I watched it, it was like pure trash. And then I saw the video on 4chan, like it, and then somebody said, like, hey, I know where to sleep in my bay. I love him too. Somebody had figured out based on like the oil towers that were there and the mountains in the background, like I know where this is. And they like showed like coordinates or whatever. So I was like, oh my God. Okay. So I was like, listen, I'll tell my captain right now. And I did. And she said, okay. And she said she sent it up the chain. I don't know if she really did or not. And then like 2 days later, everyone's like, hey, does anyone else have like you know, they and any other military they can go and like, heck these guys up. And this one dude from Russia is just like, yeah, I can, because like I guess he was in the military there. And I think like a day after that, like they bombed the fudge out of that place. So 4chan got like a whole bunch of terrorists killed. So I'm totally team 4chan for that. And then also they were messing with Shia LaBeouf, which I thought was really fun. Did you hear that story?
Was that with the like video or no? Okay, maybe I'm mixing it up with the like do it video.
No, that was just him just being shy. It's like, do it.
Yeah.
This one was when he would post like flags randomly, like in the U.S. and be like, and he would just, I don't know, 4chan like made a video about him, and he's like, this is a flag saying like solidarity with my fans. Um, and then 4chan would keep finding these flags, like because he would post like where it was. So eventually he posted a video, and like the middle of the day, this flag is in like um, the middle of this random field somewhere in the U.S. And they developed this team called Weaponized Autism that they decided.
I've heard of weaponized autism.
Oh, that's great! Yeah, they decided to, and Shia had like a video camera shining up towards the flag so that you could see it. But on a clear night, they could tell like by the constellations kind of where it was. And then they had there was like a plane flying by, so they were like, okay, let's see where all these flights are and see which one it could possibly be. And they had somebody go around that area and honk. And based on how far away the honk got to the camera, they found it in like a couple days. It was insane. It was
Oh my god, the internet and what the lengths that autistic people will go to to like prove something.
What's the most autistic thing you've ever done?
Oh man, probably create a meme coin. I don't know. Honestly, you know, I think about this a lot, just like how my brain works and like the things that I do differently than other people and like the lengths that I will go to like understand something. That's like definitely like my biggest autistic trait is I have to understand like every building block and like everything about like a situation. You know, it's like my obsession with like astrology because you know, you can predict so many things, especially in the crypto markets with astrology. But
Wait, really?
yeah, and I have like based, I mean, I don't day trade anymore. I don't, it's too stressful, but I've based a lot of like my own trades off of astrological things that are going on. But yeah, I think the most autistic thing that honestly, I mean, I was joking about it the other day. It's like I basically diagnosed myself with Lyme disease because I just like did all of the research and I was like, I need to get to the bottom of this. Like, you know, because like no
Yeah.
other doctor, like no doctor even brought it up. I was the one who's like, I need to get this specific test and see if anything comes up. And sure enough, um,
So you're like Thanos that says, "Fine, I'll do it myself."
pretty much with like almost everything. And I feel like, I don't know, that's just kind of how I am. And like
Yeah.
I said, that's like my biggest autistic trait is like I have to understand like everything and just like do things myself in order to like get to the bottom of things.
So the do you need to know the time that someone was born in order to read, or do you just need? Okay, so my ex-girlfriend has this thing too, where she's super into it, and like I'm adopted, and I don't know the time I was born. I
Mm,
can pretty much guess a date and like that, and like where I was in the world, but I don't know the time. Like
I
how
can,
badly will that throw it off?
so it is like a big part of like, if you're doing like a report for someone, I can usually like I can like ask questions and like sort of estimate and like kind of figure out like when someone was born, or at least enough to make like a whole sign chart. I'm
Mhm.
like pretty good at that. But it's like an involved thing. um, but yeah, I don't know. Um, but the time is an important thing because it basically determines like what your ascendant is or your rising sign.
Yeah.
And in like tropical astrology, that's like the most important um, thing to be able to predict like when certain things are going to happen in your life. Like for instance, uh, the orientation of like the houses in my birth chart, um, and like different things. Basically, I could like look at my chart like when I got sick. It was like, oh, like this is very indicative. Like the specific transit is very indicative of like getting sick. And like around this time is when you're going to start to get answers. And sure enough, like it's happening. Like around this time.
Wow.
I had predicted March 2023, but close enough. I was off
Yeah.
by a month.
Yeah. So there's what else can it tell you outside of like your past? What else can it say as far as either sickness and health, fortune? What are some things that like the layman people like me that wouldn't know?
I have predicted some like career moves for people. And like, opportunities, the best time to like take opportunities. Because it's not necessarily like this will happen to you. It's like, no, there's a greater chance of this being presented to you at this time. So you kind of want to like plan for that and set your life up so you can take advantage of that like luck.
Yeah.
Also, I've predicted like when certain people are going to like, sell their house and like move into a new one, or when they would be expecting children, or, when like financial opportunities would arise for them.
Okay.
There's all sorts of things that you can predict with astrology, or at least, look into and see like when the best opportunity is to do things. It's really important, in my opinion, for like business. Um, to choose, it's like, okay, you don't want to launch a new product like when Mercury is in retrograde. That's like the one that everyone talks about.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't want to, if Saturn is going to be entering the second house for, a while, which, that's a long transit. You don't want to take any huge risks during that time. During that, it's like about 3-year period. You want to like buckle down and like stick to like what you know. So there's like different things.
So do the markets follow that as well? Like, do you see like a pattern with that?
Yes, I don't give advice to people, and I've thought about this because I was like, ethically, I don't really think this is like a thing I can do,
Yeah.
but yeah, the markets are definitely reflected in the astrology. Um, I don't want to say too much beyond that because I don't want to tell people like, oh, this is when blah 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 is going to happen. And that's when, because like I have my own predictions about things.
We'll save that for off camera where I slide you some money and be like, hey, this time you'll be
Yeah, I
like,
mean, I will say that like there's definitely like some exciting things happening. Like, and I mean, it's undeniable. Like we see it happening right now. With blockchain, AI, and just like the economy in general, and also like the impending like workers' revolution. Um, all of these different things, like society is changing, and like that's very much reflected in is with what's happening like in the sky as well. And I don't think that's a coincidence.
So blockchain and AI are probably the two greatest, I would say, technologies in the 2000s. But I would also argue that, or I would say that AI scares me the most. Is there any part of you that is worried about it, or are you more excited than worried? And the worry is this big.
I think it depends on like what you like from what perspective you're looking at. I choose to not be scared. I definitely think that it is going to like there are going to be it's like the internet, you know, the internet has done like incredible things for people, but it's also brought about like some sort of dystopian things. Um and I think that like, you know, as long as those things are I don't know, sort of governed in this I hate to use the word governed because anyway
Government makes everything worse.
sort of like managed in the same way that you know the internet has been managed. I think that like you know overall it's been like net positive with the internet.
Yeah.
um so I think that's possible with AI too. Do I think that there are going to be things that like kind of fuck people over at first, you know, like for instance like LimeWire and Kazaa with the music industry? Yeah, like that's going to happen again with AI. It already is happening. um but like is that going to be managed? Probably. um so I don't know, we'll see.
Have you tried ChatGPT?
Oh yeah. Yes.
So I mean, I guess it depends on how you ask it, but there's a lot of things that it won't do. Like it
Yeah.
won't give you any war scenarios. It won't give you any of its like feelings. You could say hypothetically, and you could kind of reverse those feelings around and give you an answer. But the reason why that's okay right now is because the people that created it have given it parameters of which not to answer. But you know that there's scientists in China and engineers in Russia that are not giving it those precautions, saying like, how do we defeat Ukraine, or like, how do we overtake the U.S. And I don't know, that type of thing is very like, I think whoever controls this insanely intelligent and efficient technology may very well be the next leader of the world.
Yeah, I don't know. um I have very
It's also really fun to talk to. I don't know if
yeah,
that's the autism.
no, it is really fun to talk to. And like yeah, I agree with you that like of course it's going to be like used for evil, but are humans capable of like implementing the strategy that AI gives them in a perfect manner? Probably not.
Oh, good point. Good point.
um and also I just don't think that I don't know. And this is more of like me just from a like philosophical level. Um, you know, globalism, the way that it's been carried out, does not benefit the common man. And
What can you define globalism for a second? Because
global
I'm
trade, and you know the just like the simply if we're talking about like the exchange of goods, cross borders, and trade, as well as you know the development of government and currencies and like all of these different things. um you know there are farmers in all over the world you could say, that are feeding billions of people, um but they're not the ones who are reaping the benefits of that. In fact, you know there are plenty of other segments of the supply chain that are benefiting far more than the person who is actually producing the product. But anyway, the reason I bring this up with like technology in the future is because that I think that hopefully we will be able to circumvent those supply chains and become more autonomous. And globalization in the traditional sense of like this hierarchical structure where, you know, A has to answer to B, has to answer to C, and then, you know, there's some guy at the top making $50 million when the guy who's making the product makes, you know, 6 cents.
yeah.
Whole point being that I think all of this technology will hopefully stand to dismantle a decent part of that. Because I don't think globalization in the way that it's been carried out, like, I don't think that's the future. It's unsustainable. Exponential growth is unsustainable. And like what we really need is just an intelligent network, like a blockchain, that can fix supply chain issues and help people be more autonomous. But anyway, that's sort of a long tangent. I don't see the, for lack of better words, like the capitalist structure of corporations and all of this. Like, how is it going to last much longer? They're already imploding. The United States currency is like it's a joke.
30 trillion. Yeah, if it was a crypto, it would be like the worst investment because it's constantly inflationary, printing trillions a year. Yeah, I get it. So this is going to sound like a coming out of left field, but I promise there's a track in my brain. Have you seen Mandalorian?
Yes, I have. I
Okay.
haven't watched. Have I watched? How many seasons are there? I feel like there's a season that I haven't seen, but I don't know.
There's
But yeah,
two, and then there's Book of Boba Fett, which is like season
okay.
2.5.
Yeah, I watched all of The Mandalorian and I watched part of Boba Fett.
Okay, good. Mandalorian season 3 comes out March 1st. Yeah.
Okay.
So the reason why I bring that up is because there's many scenes in Mandalorian in like the first two seasons where uh, it shows the aftermath of and the consequences of taking down an evil uh, the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that, whether being ruled by the Empire or being ruled by whatever, like the poor kind of stay poor and the rich kind of stay rich, but it's really like a lot of the middle class that really suffers. Like, oh, there's a lot of crime now because even though the Empire was evil and they blew up planets and killed billions, if not trillions, a lot of people that are still left over, the Republic or the rebellion, they can't really keep order, and there's a lot of evil people. Like so somebody was saying, like, I think it was Carl Weathers saying, like, if you don't like what I'm doing, report me to the Republic. And Mando's like, that's a joke. And the reason why I said, you mentioned workers' revolution before. Do you think that in a workers' revolution, when you say taking down a capitalistic society, do you think there's a certain form of a way the world should work? Do you think it would be like a democratic socialism? Do you think it'd be communism? Do you think it's something that is really not mainstream yet but should be? Like, what's the replacement for capitalism?
Yeah, I don't think that there's any like perfect system, and I don't think that there ever will be.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you, Jim. I think we would all love to say like this is a system that works and this is the one that's gonna but like the reality is that like there's never going to be a perfect system because like the only constant in life is change. So if things aren't constantly changing, I mean, going back to the conversation about like the Western blot test, things need to be updated constantly, and they're just not. And with a government this big, it's a very low priority for a government to update something like that. So anyway, like I've said several times during this podcast that like I am an anarchist, but I also think, maybe we should look to other systems that do work. Scandinavians kind of have it figured out. There's fucked up shit happening all over the world. There's fucked up shit that's happening in Denmark and Sweden and Finland too. But their people are taken care of and they have a really high quality of life. However, do they still exploit the global south? I don't know like what the answer is, but I think going back to the topic of globalism, it's like, if we could have communities that support each other, if we'd actually have community, that's something that's really lacking specifically under capitalism. And I know that's like a really controversial topic because people say like, oh, we've had a lot of benefits from capitalism. It's like, yeah, so far, but like now it's starting to kind of go downhill. People are starting to get very rich and hoarding wealth, and exploitation is at a very high. I don't know. I could rant on about this for days, but
Oh, yeah, no, I get it. In my life, there's been a very big widening margin between the 1% and everyone else. Like there's a lot of political strife about that. But I will say that there's, being middle class or even poor in the 90s versus being poor now, I would much rather be poor right now than middle or upper middle class in like the 80s or 90s, just because I feel like there's internet everywhere and there's air conditioning everywhere and there is I feel like the rising tide does raise all ships. So even though that gap between the 1% and us is widening and really not fair, life is getting better for everyone around. So that's now maybe that's just, I'm an optimist, silver lining, but
yeah, I was gonna say like how much of that though can you contribute to the economic system and like government support programs? Like air conditioning would have probably been more prevalent anyway, and the internet would have come about anyway, even if we if we were living under socialism,
yeah,
somebody
that's
probably
true.
would have discovered the internet.
Good,
So
that's a good point.
and I'm not saying that true socialism or whatever system is the superior system. I think aspects of socialism definitely benefit. If you have a health insurance plan, you participate in socialism.
Mm-hmm.
However, the reason why your health insurance premium is so high in the United States is because of the crazy failures of the medical system and the for-profit healthcare system. Like that is the reason why. This person pays $400 a month for $500 a month for their healthcare plan is because there are people like me who are misdiagnosed and given hundreds of thousands of dollars of drugs that don't work. And guess what? You're paying for my drugs that I don't need, that make me more sick, and then make it so I need more. You know what I mean? And I think people don't really think about that. Health insurance is a socialist program, but it has been infiltrated by capitalism in the United States, and that's why shit costs us so more. That's why it's $8,000 when you need to get dental work done. Whereas if you go to Poland, the same thing will cost you maybe $1,000.
I didn't know that about Poland. I'll go to Poland next time I need to get something done. I do want to get veneers. Like when I was younger, I was a boxer, and there's this unsanctioned fight. The mouthpiece fell out, and I was like, and I got one of my teeth went like that way, and I'm like very subconscious about it. So I want to get that fixed at some point.
Yeah, be careful with. I have just like dental woes. Be careful with shaving down your teeth because they can become weak and then you'll just lose them altogether.
Oh, yeah. I think the veneers, they replace them and then so it's super expensive, but maybe in Poland it won't be. I don't know.
Yeah, I have 2 fake teeth. I don't know if you can tell, but it's this one.
Okay. Yeah.
The one with the space, the janky one, and then this one. This one is a crown because I just genetically have bad teeth. But yeah, if you don't have to get teeth replaced, if it's just for aesthetic reasons, I don't know, you can look into other sort of like aesthetic things there, because like getting your teeth replaced, it's a whole thing. It's not just a one and done. It's like constant maintenance and it's expensive.
That's so it's like that kind of not fair. Like my friend Justin, who when we were younger, and he still has like perfect teeth. I don't know, we were just going over stuff, and like he didn't have floss. Like, you don't have floss? I was just saying over one day. He's like, no. I was like, okay, like really? And he's like, yeah. I was like, all right. Do you just like brush your teeth, or do you have like water, whatever? He's like, nah. Like, I brush my teeth when they start hurting. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah. Like, I don't know. Like it's like annoying. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? So yeah, and then there'll be other people that like brush and floss every day, and they still need work done every year. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to like, for a lot of people, like genetics. It's one thing you can't really cheat.
I have super small calves, and it does not matter how many times a week I do legs. My calves will always be like this big. They're super small.
Gotta do some, what is it, calf raises? I don't know.
I do them. I do
yoga. That's about it.
I knew it was genetics because my friend Casey had mentioned to me. He's like, listen, bro, like I took steroids for 3 years and my calves didn't grow at all. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm just doomed to have small calves then.
What's funny is my roommate actually is a professional strong woman. She's like a pro athlete. Yeah, no, she's like nuts. I wish I had like a photo of her. She's actually at the gym right now coaching. But she's actually training right now to squat. I think it's like 400 pounds.
God.
Yeah, she's crazy. She's nuts. But she
Oh,
wants to do it like it's like her last, because like she competed for years and she did like the super restrictive diets and like all the crazy training and stuff. But she was like, I want to like, hit my PR like one last time before I have a kid. I'm like,
yeah.
I will be there when you squat that 400 pounds.
That's insane. Good for her. So you said you do yoga, hot yoga, or
I used to do hot yoga. I mean, since I've been sick, I haven't really been like, my workouts are like I go for walks and I stretch. I really can't do anything that's like too taxing on my body. Otherwise it hurts.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I used to do hot yoga. I loved it. But I
Have you
just,
ever tried goat yoga? I've
I've
always
heard
wanted
of
to do
it.
one.
I've heard of it. Yeah. Where like the goats like climb on you. I would be
Yeah,
down. I would do a goat yoga class. I love animals. So
I totally do that too. I just feel like I wouldn't pay attention to the class. So like, come here, little guy.
yeah.
Be like that guy. I don't know if you've ever seen the meme of this guy eating. He's in like a pie eating contest, and everyone else like their face is in there, and this guy's like with a fork and knife, just like I'm gonna lose, but free pie.
That would be me. That would be me
So,
in both scenarios.
so we've been going for about 2.5 hours. I didn't necessarily mean to keep you this long, so apologies for that.
Yeah,
But
no worries. This was fun.
what anything you want to go and talk about before we end it?
I don't know if anyone who's still here watching, do what you love and fuck everyone else, or not fuck everyone else. Just, I don't know. I feel like the most important thing that I realized after getting sick was like the only thing that matters is like my fulfillment and happiness and my relationships in life and like just being happy doing what I love. So that's kind of what I try to live by now
That's good.
and cultivate community.
Yes, the community. I mean, so I was talking about the most ridiculous online community. You mentioned Neopets. Neopets has a metaverse coming out. I interviewed one of the creators. I can't wait for that. Are you going to go to any like NFT NYC this year, or are you going to go to any events like that?
Is
Or are you
that
just like,
summer?
there's one in April and there's one in like November. There was two last year. I went to the one in November. I did
Yeah,
not.
I mean, my plan is I'm gonna get on a treatment plan, and hopefully by then I'm gonna, my immune system will be like strong enough to go to like a con. um, so I would love to, especially, I don't know, I want to like what I would really love to do is I want to go to one of those things and I want to talk on a tokenomics panel because
Oh yes.
it's one of the things that I'm like, if you want to talk about one of like my special interests in autism, it's like definitely tokenomics.
How do you feel about the OMI tokenomics? Has Brock walked you through that?
I have read their white paper. I honestly I can't
Be
remember.
advised, that's very out of date right now. That's
Oh,
very
okay.
yeah.
Well, then I guess I don't really know. I remember like reading about it and being like, oh yeah, like this sounds like a really like great. I mean, not financial advice, but like it sounds like a really excellent ecosystem to be part of. And I think I actually bought some OMI. I mean,
Nice.
I just buy things and like I let them sit in my wallet. I don't like.
I my the power of autism has led me to some pretty decent financial success over the last few years. Going all in on high risk lending, going deep down in like their financials and saying like, okay, this person will pay back, this person will, this person won't, and rolling that over into Pokemon cards, rolling it into Tesla, and then I rolled out. I sold everything for OMI, like, and it actually did very, very well at one point. And then the bear market came. I didn't sell, and then lost like $1 million. But it's okay. I didn't sell. Continuing dollar cost average. That is my yeah. And obviously, Brock has a ton as well, and he's extraordinarily intelligent. So it's probably not financial advice, guys, but totally something that I would.
Yeah, he put me on to OMI, and I follow like a lot of people who just to like keep up with the news and all of that. But like I
Making
said, I
videos
don't.
every day.
What's that?
I said I make new videos every day.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, I'm not like a day trader. I'm more like, especially right now, it's I guess you can day trade and like make some money, but I'm just more I want to buy things that I believe in, and hold them for as long as I can.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, same. I have like 153 million of the OMI tokens. I'll sell a couple million up till it gets like a penny, and then I'll sell a couple more as it goes higher. But I want to have 100 million OMI still by 2030, or when it gets to $1, which should be around the same time, and then go from there. But we'll see. I mean, in like the next bull market, OMI could go up to 10 cents, and then I could see another token that could do 1,000x, and then I could move it there. I don't know. So
Yeah, I really wonder. I mean, I have no like doubts when it comes to Ethereum. I think that like, you know, whenever they start to implement like proto-dank sharding, I don't know how like how deep you are in terms of like, you know, the technology aspect of like Ethereum and like, you know, their the ways they plan to like reduce gas fees and like, you know, become more scalable and all of that stuff.
Didn't they just reduce them with the 2.0, and they like, obviously it wasn't reduced like a lot. They didn't.
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, less people were using the network, so the gas fees were lower. But
okay.
You know, there's still been like I've had to pay like crazy gas fees on when I was like airdropping NFTs to people. It was still like extremely like variable, and sometimes like, you know, it would be more than the NFT was worth. But anyway,
Yeah. So Polygon's pretty good.
Yeah, and like Polygon's great, but yeah, I'm really interested to see like what they do with the proto-dank sharding to make Ethereum more scalable and just reduce gas fees. And like really that ultimately like that's probably going to be what like kicks off the next bull run.
Yeah, I think why there's like layer 2 is like immutable X that is just, there's like no gas fees, like, and OMI, which is on OMI, was also no gas fees. So I don't know why people are still trading in Ethereum where you have to pay such ridiculous gas fees when you could pay no gas fees. There's no carbon footprint. Like, I don't know. I guess people really don't like change. But could you tell us a little bit about the protocol that you were talking about?
Which protocol?
The one that I forget. It sounded like the Dinodecasaurus thing.
Proto-dank sharding?
Yeah, that.
It's basically a way to process transactions. I don't know if it's like off-chain completely, but you remember when everyone was talking about like ZK rollups?
Yes.
I watched a whole podcast on Bankless, I think it was, where they were talking about like the implementation of it. But basically it's just gonna make it so that they can process like different parts of the transaction like more efficiently. Like that's the short explanation. Because, you know, sharding is when they like, you can essentially have different parts of the transaction or different parts of the block like verified. Like think of like shards.
Yeah.
You know, it's being verified by different I don't want to say validators because like that's not the right. But anyway, I'm not going to get into like the specifics of it. But you know, it would speed up Ethereum because like, you know, transactions take forever.
Yeah.
I've had transactions take like a full 24 hours before.
Oh my God.
And I was like, what is going on? It would speed up transactions and make them quicker and cheaper. That's the short explanation.
When do you think that comes to fruition?
I think in the podcast, like, because like Vitalik was on the podcast, he was talking about like within like a couple years.
And when was this podcast?
Recently, it was like within the last maybe 6 months, I want to say.
Okay, so like 2026. I mean, the fork like going to like with that, we were supposed to get that Ethereum 2.0 for like 7 years, and so maybe
Yeah,
2030 we get it.
I mean, I feel like I don't know. I personally, not financial advice, I think that the next like big bull run is going to happen probably in 2024.
With Bitcoin halving right after that.
Bitcoin halving and like several other things that are going to be happening. You know, maybe the economy will have like sort of recovered by then a little bit.
I think so too.
But we'll see.
The chart for Bitcoin in 2019 is eerily similar to what I think we're doing now. Like it went up from like April to June, kind of crashed back down to December, and then Bitcoin halving in 2020, and I kind of think that that might happen similarly this year.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I've kind of been, I personally think that like we're going to crash back down to the teens before we go
What,
up.
like 13, 14K Bitcoin?
Yeah, like around there. I don't know. I
Yeah.
haven't like looked at a chart lately because I'm just like, whatever. Like I'll wait. I'll wait till I hear the news and then I'll buy. Um, but yeah, I don't think this is like a true run.
Just like
Um,
a bear market rally.
yeah, which like cool, exciting, but
Yeah.
you know, I don't
The
know. Uh, heavily, I'm not like relying on the charts going up. I guess I'll put it that way.
That's fair. I have the one other token that's not on the blockchain yet is Earth 2 has a thing called Essence. They're a metaverse company, and they basically made a one-to-one map of Earth, like with the help of Mapbox, and it was really cool. You had it still is, and they have this thing called Essence. They haven't listed it yet, but there's like 141 million in circulating supply. Only 5 billion could ever be like made or minted from the game, and I don't know how many millions have been burned already or like crafted. It's really dope. That's on Polygon. What is the? Do you think that Ethereum flips Bitcoin this decade, or do you think it doesn't happen until later? I'm
I
very
don't
bullish
know
on
because
Ethereum.
like I'm not really to be perfectly honest from a technology perspective, I'm not really like an ETH maxi. Um,
Really?
no, I think that I personally think that like I'm really interested in and maybe Daniel, aka Crypto is Good. Um, he's always talking about ICP,
What is that again?
the
I'm
Internet
thinking
Computer,
Insane Clown Posse.
the Internet Computer.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but like the technology is like incredible. You know, they're doing so much. Like they don't need an oracle. Um and I don't know. I mean, like I said, like I don't know like what Ethereum has up its sleeve because like they did that, um transition from proof of work to proof of stake like seamlessly, perfectly. So maybe it's possible for them to become a more technologically advanced blockchain in other ways. But like as it stands right now, like when I just like look at the technology of it, like Ethereum is cool, but it doesn't really have um, like it doesn't have all of the features that ICP has, and I don't know, like but I also think that like it's a great blockchain to build on, and people can still I don't know.
Yeah, everyone
I
builds
just
on you.
I see it kind of as like we're still in the stages of the internet where like we had Yahoo and Ask Jeeves and like yeah we had Google but it wasn't the giant that it is today, and everybody thought that Yahoo was like the big or AOL, like Ethereum could very well be the AOL.
That's a
Or
bold state. That's a bold statement.
I mean we don't know, there's no way of
Yeah, it's
knowing,
true.
like something else could come out and like totally blow it out of the water.
Yeah.
um So I don't know. That's just kind of I'm trying to keep my head in that space because like you never know like what ship could go under, especially in a bear market. Not that I
Yeah.
think Ethereum is going to go under anytime soon.
Good point. Okay, I think we'll leave that air of mystery about as we end this. I'll talk to you off camera for a bit. Everyone, thank you for joining. Thank you for super chat. Everyone say bye bye to Dashi. Bye bye, Dashi. I love you guys. Goodbye. Meow meow. I meow at the end of my thing.